Chapter 2650. I remember now. That B** starred, I'm not fat, just plump, isn't just one person. At this moment Chong Xiaoqian yelled, that B** starred has a few scoundrel friends who colluded with her and did all sorts of evil things in the game world. That B** starred also has a guy who seems to be called, remember, you're not only poor but also ugly. That guy has a vicious mouth and provokes us all day long. He's the most immoral one. She seemed to have recalled this matter as well, as if she had recalled something bad in the past. She was instantly filled with anger. So it's that group of people. Invisible Dragon Khalida gritted her teeth. I think the most despicable of those guys is the third B** starred who seems to be called, sadness is not a reason to cry, stupidity is. That B** starred always wants to mock our intelligence and shows off in front of us all day long just because he knows more things. If you're going to beat them up, please bring me along. She clenched her fists and recalled the group of people she met in the game. She was so angry that she wanted to catch those B** stards and give them a good beating. Yes, those B** stards are really bad. They seem to have nothing better to do all day long and just stay in the game to wander around. If I didn't know that they were players, I would have thought that they were game administrators. Those guys must be a group of jobless people who have nothing to do. They're definitely the type of people who only know how to ask for money from their families. They don't contribute anything to society. I've long seen through those B** cheese personalities. They only know how to eat, sleep, and eat every day. They only know how to be keyboard warriors and attack others everywhere. Bring me along. I've wanted to beat them up for a long time, and I'll beat them up every time I see them. Many dragon whelps were also filled with righteous indignation. Obviously, after being brought into the game world by Tanminglu, they had also encountered those vicious game bullies and suffered a lot. Now all of them were extremely angry. Hearing these words, Destiny Dragon Betty was speechless, and the corner of her mouth twitched. She felt that Tanminglu and the others were also family bugs and were not very different from those guys just now. How could these good-for-nothings have the cheek to say such things about others? However, such people were not without merit. The only merit was that they were thick-skinned. But where are those guys? Chong Xiaoqian asked. Haha, I've spent a few days and have already grasped their whereabouts. They seem to be staying in a certain star field in the human world. Let's fly over and beat them up, then come back after we vent our anger. Tanminglu told him about her intel. But this place seems to be in some kind of mystic zone. I don't know how far it is from the human world. Even if we take a spaceship, it will take decades to get back. By then, it will be too late. Chong Xiaoqian was very clear of Xia Ping's current location. That's why we need Lord Greenbull's help. It's said that Lord Greenbull knows all the teleportation points in the universe. If Lord Greenbull helps, we can teleport to the vicinity of the human star region. Tanminglu indicated that she had already thought of a plan. But that hateful regent won't let us escape so easily, right? Chong Xiaoqian recalled that hateful, cruel, and evil regent Xia Ping. It doesn't matter. That guy won't care so much about us. Besides, it won't take us too long to leave. If we discuss it seriously, he'll definitely agree. Tanminglu said. Alright, let's give it a try. Chong Xiaoqian nodded. Following that, Chong Xiaoqian and the others quickly found the green oxen. They walked over with pitiful looks on their faces, as if they were abandoned puppies. Grandpa Greenbull, to be honest, we have a request, Chong Xiaoqian said. Oh, what is it? The green bull smiled and stroked his white beard. It's like this. We want to go to the human world to have some fun. Before Chong Xiaoqian could speak, Tanminglu spoke up impatiently. She did not want Chong Xiaoqian to spill the beans. If others found out that she brought a group of underlings to beat up netizens, she would definitely be arrested. Go to the human world? Hearing this, the green bull was stunned. He did not expect Chong Xiaoqian and the rest to suddenly have such an idea. That's right. We've stayed here for a long time and want to go to other places to broaden our horizons. Didn't you say in class that reading 10,000 books is not as good as traveling 10,000 miles? Tan Minglu said casually. I didn't expect you, who usually sleeps in class, to know a few idioms. The Green Bull smiled faintly. Tan Minglu blushed like a student who was caught doing something naughty by the teacher. However, your request is not unreasonable. You guys have been working hard in class recently. It's not impossible for you guys to take a break occasionally. The Green Bull changed the topic. Really? Chong Xiaoqian and the rest were extremely excited. They widened their eyes and looked at the Green Bull. Yes, of course. This is also a reward for your hard work. Of course, you can't go out for too long. The Green Bull set a deadline with them. They could not exceed a month. Of course. Chong Xiaoqian and the rest naturally nodded vigorously. By the way, where do you guys want to go? The Green Bull asked. We want to go to the human world, the Northern Universe's Wui Star region. Tan Minglu immediately told him the address she wanted to go. I see. Wui Star region. It's indeed a good place for a holiday. Coincidentally, there's a teleportation array built nearby that can send you guys there. The Green Bull waved his hand. The light of countless stars gathered together and seemed to form a starry book. He flipped through the book and seemed to sense the teleportation locations all over the universe. In fact, the humans of Yanhuang planet had traveled all over the universe. Under Xia Ping's orders, they had also built interdomain teleportation arrays in secret places to connect with the world of the classic of mountains and seas. In this way, they could use the world of the classic of mountains and seas as a transit point and teleport to all corners of the universe. This was also the unique ability of the classic of mountains and seas that had been upgraded to a peerless sacred artifact, interdomain teleportation. Until today, in the entire universe, countless places that the humans of Yanhuang continent had passed by, unique spatial coordinates were left behind for the convenience of teleportation through the classic of mountains and seas. Well, I've finally found it. I wish you guys a pleasant journey. The Green Bull smiled and waved his hand. In an instant, a tyrannical and mysterious space-time power instantly enveloped Little Gold, Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, Betty, and the other children. They did not know what was happening. Suddenly, space-time changed. Boom, in the next second, Chong Xiaoqian and the other children disappeared from the world of the classic of mountains and seas and were directly teleported to the Wui Star region. Without these mischievous brats, it seems that the classic of mountains and seas will be much quieter during this period of time. Occasionally, adults also need to take a vacation. The Green Bull smiled slightly. He was in a very good mood. 2K Reading Network. Chapter 2651. A few days later, the Multitude Star was finally about to arrive at the black-yellow continent. Xia Ping had also woken up from his seclusion. After this period of seclusion, he could be considered to have grasped the sudden increase in his powers and soul power. He had completely mastered the power of immemorial ancient middle stage. The combat power that he could unleash right now was at least 30% stronger than before. Moreover, he also realized that the speed at which he condensed his powers had become faster because his body still stored a large amount of the Green Lotus Hell's source energy. The source energy was simply too massive and he couldn't consume it all within a short period of time. Therefore, most of the source energy was still stored in his body and released slowly. This way, his body would slowly adapt to it and he wouldn't explode from the sudden increase in power. Therefore, during this period of time, his cultivation of powers had also improved by leaps and bounds. It was as if his powers were increasing at every moment and he was cultivating at all times. It was as if his cultivation speed of powers had increased by 1,000 times. Little Gold and the rest went on vacation? At this time, Xia Ping also heard about Little Gold and the rest from the Green Cow. He nodded. It's good to let them go on vacation. However, be careful and don't let them cause trouble. To be honest, he wasn't worried about their safety. Given their strength, there wouldn't be any sages who could kill them if they headed to the human world. The only thing he was worried about was how much trouble these troublemakers would cause. Don't worry, I've already left spatial coordinates on them. If they encounter any danger, I can teleport them back instantly. Moreover, I'll keep an eye on them at all times to prevent them from causing trouble. The green cow indicated that he had taken safety measures. That's good. Xiaoping nodded. He then looked at the scene outside through the multitude star. He saw a huge, seemingly boundless land in front of him. He had no idea how big the land was. It was like a chaotic beast crawling in the void, giving off an eternal aura. Without a doubt, the land in front of him was the famous black-yellow continent. It was also one of the most famous lands in the mystic zones that had nurtured countless supreme experts. This was the true place where all the races fought for supremacy. Only the ancient sages had the right to stand in this place. Experts who were weaker than the ancient sages would often encounter life-threatening dangers upon entering the black-yellow continent. This is the black-yellow continent. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. Even though he was very far away, he could sense the tyrannical nature of this piece of land through his divine sense. It was emitting a rich cosmic origin aura. At the same time, endless streams of Xianhuang energy enveloped the continent, causing it to transform into a unique world of Xianhuang. Thick essence energy filled every corner. To be honest, he felt that the black-yellow continent was not inferior to a high-level hell plane like the Green Lotus Hell. However, such a black-yellow continent could not produce so many invincible realm sages like the Hell of Green Lotus. Of course, this also had a lot to do with time. In fact, not much time had passed since the great apocalypse in the real universe. Perhaps to mortals it was an unimaginably long time. But to the universe it was still in its infancy, or perhaps just a child. Since the end of the demonic god era, who knew how much time had passed in the infernal realm? The number of experts that had been nurtured in the infernal realm was many times more than in the real universe. Beep, at this moment, the stars immediately connected to a signal that was transmitted from afar. This is a territory ruled by humans. We have detected the signal of a friendly spaceship. Please show your identity immediately. Otherwise, you will be regarded as an enemy and will be shot down on the spot. The other party sent a warning signal. Any spaceship that approached the black-yellow continent would be detected by the detection system that the humans had set up in the black-yellow continent. Every sage that entered the black-yellow continent had to register and confirm their identity. I'm Fengdu, a sage of the human race. I request to enter the black-yellow continent. Xiaoping knew that this was a normal identity verification. After all, this was a place where thousands of races fought for hegemony. God knew how many race experts lived in this place, and these races had all sorts of incredible abilities. If they were not careful, the human race's base camp might be invaded by these race experts. By then, there might be unpredictable dangers. The human experts had no choice but to be careful. Beep beep. The visitor is Fengdu, a sage of the human race. Identity confirmed. Soul wave confirmed. Genetic information confirmed. Spaceship model confirmed. There are no dangerous items on the spaceship, and no foreign races are hiding. Confirm safe, safe, safe. Permission granted. In the blink of an eye, invisible space-time waves engulfed the stars one after another. They scanned the stars inside and out dozens of times, as if they were confirming Xiaoping's identity and whether there were any dangerous items hidden on the spaceship. In just 3 minutes, the black-yellow continent's human detection system seemed to have detected that the stars did not have any dangerous items or enemies from other races. Hence, they allowed Xiaoping to pass. Welcome to the black-yellow continent, Sage Fengdu. I'm Guide X136-6564. I'm here to serve you. Sage Fengdu, may I know what you need help with? At this moment, a clear voice was heard from the transmission. It seemed to be the customer service of the Black-Yellow continent. Bring my spaceship to the largest human city in the Black-Yellow continent. I want to rest for a while. Xia Ping stated his request. Confirm Sage Fengdu's request. You need to bring your spaceship to the largest human city in the Black-Yellow continent, Black-Yellow City. Please wait for a moment. The system will connect to your spaceship immediately. Sage Fengdu, please don't resist. This is the highest defense system of the human race. There won't be any danger, Guide X136-6564 said. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, a gigantic light pillar shot out from the depths of the Black-Yellow continent in just a second, enveloping the myriad stars in an instant. Immediately, the stars felt a power that distorted space-time. It seemed like a moving space teleportation formation had appeared within a range of tens of thousands of kilometers. Swoosh. In the next second, under the guidance of the beam of light, the stars seemed to pass through hundreds and thousands of layers of space and layers of restriction formations. They were finally teleported to the depths of the Black-Yellow continent and arrived at the largest human city in the continent, the famous Black-Yellow City. Have we arrived? Xia Ping felt a change in spacetime. His spaceship seemed to have been teleported from outside the Black-Yellow continent to the port of the Black-Yellow City by the strongest defense system of the human race. He saw many powerful spaceships appearing around the port. There were millions of them. 2K Reading Network. Chapter 2652. So many mortals. Xia Ping scanned with his consciousness and immediately sensed that there were many mortals below the immortal sage level. There were also many immortal sages, near ancient sages, middle ancient sages, etc. However, he had heard that the Xianwang continent was an extremely dangerous place. Why were there so many mortals here? Most of them weren't even ancient sages. Rumble, however, his brazen scanning of the surroundings attracted the enmity of many sages from all directions. After all, in the world of cultivators, releasing one's consciousness so brazenly was a form of provocation. After all, these sages had their own privacy and would definitely not want their information to be spied on by others. Scanning with one's consciousness was akin to spying on them. Therefore, under normal circumstances, other sages would not use their consciousness to check on others. Unless they were enemies or in a war situation, it would only be allowed. However, Xia Ping had stayed in the underworld for far too long and was used to the unbridled nature of the underworld. There were massacres everywhere and enemies were everywhere. He had to keep his consciousness open at all times so that he could survive and avoid being ambushed by other demons. After all, the underworld was way too dangerous. There were ambushes everywhere and it was extremely dangerous. If one was not vigilant enough, they would be killed by the enemies instantly and turned to dust. He had just returned to the modern world and was not used to this world that was slightly more peaceful than hell. Therefore, he had forgotten about such a rule. He thought that he was still in the underworld and had not expected such a rule to exist. Walala, in the depths of the void, those offended sages snorted coldly. One after another, powerful consciousness powers shot out like light pillars, as though they wanted to teach Xia Ping a lesson. These sages wanted this lad to know that this was not a place where he could casually use his consciousness powers. Seems like I'm in trouble. At this moment, Xia Ping came to his senses. It seemed like he was no longer in the underworld and was in the human world. This place could be considered as the base of the human race. It was extremely safe and there was no need for him to sense the surroundings. However, it was too late to say anything now. Even if he explained the reason, the other sages would not listen to such an explanation. Of course, against such a powerful consciousness attack, he was not bothered at all. Ever since he had leveled up to immemorial ancient state middle stage, his soul power was way stronger than before. Even the mental attacks of ordinary immemorial pinnacle sages would not be able to do anything to him. Perhaps only a saint who had advanced to the invincible realm could pose a threat to him. The problem was that an invincible saint would not easily appear in a place like this. The ones attacking him were at most primordial saints, and they were not even at the pinnacle of the primordial realm. Therefore, he naturally did not think much of it. He merely stood where he was without moving, allowing these sages to attack him. Bang, bang, bang! In the blink of an eye, a series of tyrannical mental energy blasted down, causing the void to distort. It was as if a mental storm had been generated, all of it bombarded Xia Ping's soul. Immediately, these divine sense attacks seemed to have sunk into the ocean, and all the mental power disappeared without a trace, disappearing completely. There was simply not a single drop left. Xia Ping stood where he was, calm and collected, as if nothing had happened just now. What? Many of the sages nearby were shocked, and their expressions were extremely ugly. They had not expected this troublemaker to be so strong and terrifying. So many sages had launched mental attacks at the same time, and yet they were unable to do anything to this mysterious saint. Clearly, when such divine sense powers were stacked, even ordinary immemorial sages would be severely injured, let alone other sages. They would definitely be taught a terrible lesson. Yet, this person had taken on the mental attacks of so many sages head-on, and yet he was unharmed. He was still standing before everyone, full of vigor and vitality. It was truly unbelievable. But no matter what, the truth was the truth. This person's strength was probably unfathomable, and that was why such a bizarre thing had happened. Immediately, many of the sages stopped probing, and they all retreated. After all, the rules were only for the weak, and did not apply to the strong. Although the scanning of the strong's divine sense was very overbearing, and it violated the taboo of every sage, the weak could only take it head-on, and could not resist. The invisible battle just now was enough to prove the strength of this mysterious saint. His strength was definitely unfathomable, and they were not willing to offend such a powerful and mysterious saint for no reason. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the blink of an eye, these sages quickly left the place, no longer paying attention to Xia Ping. They're all gone. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He sensed that in the depths of the void, streams of powerful divine sense powers curled up, and they seemed to have disappeared without a trace. It seemed that the battle just now had proven his strength, and he had tacitly agreed to his privileges here. Ha, friend, what a powerful soul power, to be able to withstand the mental attacks of so many sages. It's really amazing. I wonder if you can come over and have a gathering? At that moment, another powerful mental intent was transmitted from the depths of the void. This time, it gave off a friendly intent and extended an invitation to Xia Ping. Huh! Xia Ping sensed that there was an ancient sage in a green Taoist robe standing in the distance. This person's strength had reached the peak of the immemorial realm, and he was only one step away from the invincible realm. This ancient person's body was filled with the fluctuations of the world, as if the laws within his body had reached a complete state, and his strength seemed to be independent, isolated from the laws of the surrounding universe. There was no doubt that this sage was definitely a top sage of the human clan, second only to invincible sages and other old monsters. Who are you? Xia Ping asked. I'm Zhiyu Sage, the deputy city lord of Xianhuang City. The green-robed old man stroked his white beard and revealed his identity. Deputy city lord of Xianhuang City? Upon hearing this, Xia Ping was shocked. It seemed that he had met the local tyrant of the Xianhuang continent. He had come to the Xianhuang continent to hunt for treasures and obtain cultivation resources. However, if he was not familiar with the Xianhuang continent, he would definitely miss out on many treasures. However, if he could get to know the deputy city lord of Xianhuang City, he would definitely be able to get a lot of crucial information from him, which would be of great benefit to his survival in the Xianhuang City. All right. At the thought of this, Xia Ping nodded and uttered a single word. Come over then. I'll set up a banquet for you on the spaceship. The green-robed old man, Zhiyu Sage, smiled and seemed to be in a good mood. Swoosh! In a flash, Xia Ping put away the stars and flew towards the green-robed old man's spaceship. Chapter 2653. At the port of Xianwang City, on a flying ship, at this moment, Xia Ping appeared in the living room of the flying ship. The old man in green robes, Zhiyu Sheng, had been waiting for Xia Ping in the flying ship for a long time. In the living room, there was a tea table with a teapot on it that gave off a fragrant scent. It was as though this tea was one of the best tea leaves in the world, as though it was a sacred medicine known as Bodhi tea. Legend had it that after this tea was soaked, even a sage would experience a huge boost in their power of comprehension, allowing them to comprehend the source laws of the universe with half the effort. A single tale of such tea was priceless. Even a sage would find it hard to get their hands on it. Such tea leaves were way too precious, and one might not be able to buy them even if one had the money. But this Zhiyu Sheng was using it as an ordinary tea leaf to soak and serve his guests. One could only imagine how rich this Zhiyu Sheng was. Little friend, I wonder what's your name? I don't think we've met before. Have you just arrived at Xianwang continent? Zhiyu Sheng asked curiously. My name is Feng Du, Xia Ping said his name. You're right. I've just arrived at Xianwang continent. I heard that there are countless treasures in Xianwang continent and that it's a great place to cultivate. Therefore, I came to take a look. Feng Du? That's a familiar name, as though I've heard it somewhere before. But that's all right. Since we're here at Xianwang continent, we're all one big family. Zhiyu Sheng stroked his white beard and smiled in a friendly manner. To think that you would have such strength even though you've just arrived at Xianwang continent. Seems like you've been through quite a lot, little friend. His eyes were sharp and he could tell that Xia Ping's strength was only at immemorial ancient state middle stage. Compared to immemorial ancient state sages, he was still far off. But, to think that he could defend against the consciousness attacks of so many sages and even immemorial ancient state sages with just the strength of immemorial ancient state sages was pretty incredible. Without enough talent and foundation, one wouldn't be able to do something like this. You're flattering me. It's just a small trick. Xia Ping said humbly. Since Zhiyu Sheng is the vice city lord of Xianwang City, you must be extremely familiar with Xianwang continent. I have something that I wish to ask. Oh, what questions do you have, fellow Taoist Feng Du? Feel free to ask. If I know anything, I'll definitely tell you everything I know. The Zhiyu Saint raised his teacup and took a sip. According to the previous information, the black-yellow continent is an extremely dangerous place. Even ancient sages would not be able to keep their lives if they were to enter it. We have to be extremely careful. Why do I see a large number of ordinary people in the surroundings today? Xia Ping asked. So that's how it is. It's no wonder that fellow Taoist Feng Du is puzzled. The Zhiyu Saint laughed heartily upon hearing this. Actually, that's all in the past. Before the human race occupied the black-yellow continent, this place was a battleground for the military. Many peak races engaged in earth-shattering battles here, and the battles were so intense that even the sun and moon lost their luster. Later on, the human tribe transported a large number of resources to the black-yellow continent, which finally allowed the black-yellow city to establish a foothold in the black-yellow continent. At that time, the ancient sages were just cannon fodder, and many of them had fallen. However, ever since the construction of the black-yellow city was completed, the human tribe had a foothold on this continent. Then, after countless eras of accumulation, they built one war fortress after another. This also built a strong rear for the human tribe, which would not be easily breached by other forces. With a strong rear, the human tribe naturally gained a foothold and continued to invade the black-yellow continent in all directions, building one city after another for the human tribe. It was extremely safe. After countless battles, the human tribe finally defeated countless races, and almost occupied most of the areas of the black-yellow continent. At the same time, with these safe places, the sages married and gave birth to children. These children would also marry and give birth to more descendants. Over time, hundreds of millions of eras passed, and a large number of ordinary people appeared in the black-yellow continent. They also spread throughout every human city in the black-yellow continent, becoming the cornerstone of the human tribe in the black-yellow continent. I see. Xia Ping nodded and came to a sudden realization. He finally understood the origin of these ordinary people. They were the descendants of the sages. No wonder they could stay in the black-yellow continent since they were born. This also allowed the descendants of the sages to obtain endless benefit. Their cultivation speed was much faster than other places, and it was also much easier for them to become immortal sages. Moreover, if the human tribe had occupied the black-yellow continent in the early stages, it would naturally be extremely dangerous. Every sage was a powerful combat force, and they had to worry about being attacked by the sages of other races at all times. However, now that the human tribe had established a foothold in the black-yellow continent, these ordinary people could naturally cultivate, live peacefully in the human cities. As long as these ordinary people did not court death and leave the human cities, they would not die in the black-yellow continent. It could be said that the information Xia Ping obtained was a little outdated and could not keep up with the times. Boom! At this moment, the entire black-yellow city's port shook violently. The void trembled and buzzed. A space-time wormhole seemed to have opened up in the distance. What's going on? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and sensed an extremely powerful aura coming from the dark space-time wormhole. Fellow Fengdu, you're in luck. One of the deputy city lords of our black-yellow city, Gu Rulai, has returned. This person is the most talented human tribe sage since the birth of our black-yellow continent. He has only cultivated for 180 million years, but he has already advanced to the peak of the archaic ancient realm. He is on par with me. Jiyu Saint smiled faintly. Ancient sage Gu Rulai. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and stared at the huge space-time wormhole in front of him. Rumble! In an instant, 9 flood dragons appeared at the end of the space-time wormhole. Each of them was extremely powerful, and their chi and blood were like the scorching sun in the sky. Their cultivation had obviously reached the peak of the archaic ancient realm. Golden ropes were tied around their bodies, and they were pulling a dark golden carriage behind them. These 9 flood dragons that had reached the peak of the archaic ancient realm were extremely powerful. They would be highly valued by any race, and they were definitely experts at the level of an elder. However, they were actually pulling a carriage willingly. A white-robed young man sat on the carriage. The swastika symbol appeared between his brows, emitting a faint golden light as if it contained the infinite mysteries of the universe. If one looked at it, it seemed as if the swastika symbol had suddenly turned into a third eye. Just by sitting on the carriage, it seemed as if he was the entire universe. All the laws of time and space revolved around him, and he was the only one in the world. Huh! The white-robed young man seemed to have sensed something. He turned around and looked. His indifferent eyes seemed to penetrate the restrictions of time and space, looking directly at Xia Ping and Jiyu Saint. He looked down from above, as if he was a god that had been born since ancient times. Chapter 2654. Suddenly, Xia Ping felt as if he was being peeped at. It was as if the third eye contained the power to see through illusions and even penetrate the essence of the soul. Dong. He immediately operated the magic power in his body and formed a layer of energy shield. It seemed to transform into a dense barrier of laws that instantly blocked the power. Immediately, the mysterious power was unable to peep into his body and was isolated outside the barrier of laws. This phenomenon naturally attracted the attention of the primordial saint, Gu Rulai. A glimmer of light appeared in his eyes, as if he was a little surprised that an ancient saint could actually block the peeping of his third eye. Even primordial saints of the same level couldn't block his third eye. Ji Saint, it's been a long time. I didn't expect to meet you here. The voice of the young man in white, Gu Rulai, traveled over. The power of the sound wave penetrated the void and directly transmitted into the spaceship of the Ji Saint, but no one outside could hear it. Gu Rulai, it's indeed been a long time. Now that you've returned to the bound of Yellow City, I reckon that you've obtained a lot of benefits in the secret realm. I'm afraid it's just a matter of time before you advance to the invincible realm. The Ji Saint stroked his white beard. He could sense that Gu Rulai's aura was clearly stronger than before. It was as if he had reached the peak of the primordial realm, and his body gave off the aura of the laws of life and death. If he continued to cultivate, advancing to the invincible realm would be a matter of time. In that case, there would be one more invincible realm saint in the human race. This was also a great thing for the human race. However, he was also extremely depressed. After all, he had been trapped in the primordial realm for God knows how many eras, and until now, there was still no hope of breaking through. How could he be in a good mood when a saint who was younger than him had broken through? Of course, he wouldn't show this kind of emotion casually. Then I'll accept Ji Saint's auspicious words. By the way, this saint is quite rare. I don't think I've seen him before. I wonder if you can introduce him to me? Gu Rulai looked at Xia Ping with a profound gaze. Oh, this is Fengdu Saint, a saint of the human race who just came to the bound of Yellow Continent. I knew that he was extraordinary, so I invited him over for a gathering. The Ji Saint smiled. You know that I like to make friends the most. He introduced Xia Ping to Gu Rulai. Fengdu Saint? This name is indeed unfamiliar. Seems like he should be a human race saint who has just advanced to the immemorial ancient state not too long ago. Not only that, he seems to be even younger than me. Gu Rulai said. What? He's even younger than you, ancient sage. It seems that Sage Fengdu is also a super genius of our human race. Why haven't I heard of him before? Hearing this, Ji Yuxing was astonished because Gu Rulai was only 180 million years old. Not only was he a junior among the primordial sages, he wasn't considered old even among the near-ancient sages and undying sages. After all, it was extremely difficult for one to break through every single cultivation state. It was common for one to be stuck for hundreds of millions of years at a time. If one were to reach the immemorial ancient state before reaching 180 million years old, one could indeed be considered as a super genius. Even if he couldn't compare to ancient Rulai, he wouldn't be too far off. Previously, I've always been cultivating in a secret region of the universe. I only came to the mystic zones after breaking through, so it's only natural that you're not familiar with me, Xia Ping explained. I see. Ji Yuxing nodded his head. He accepted such an explanation. In truth, such things were common. Some sages would be trapped in secret regions of the universe. Only by breaking through would they have a chance to break free. This sage Fengdu was probably the same. It was just that he didn't need to experience much to reach the immemorial ancient state. His talent was truly shocking. In that case, Sage Fengdu is also considered my junior. This is the first time we've met, so I didn't bring many gifts. I shall give you this bottle of Yin Yang Nirvana pill. Gu Rulai took out a bottle of pills and gave it to Xia Ping as a gift. Yin Yang Nirvana pill? Xia Ping blinked his eyes. He wasn't familiar with this pill. My God, Gu Rulai, you're truly a big spender. Hearing this, Ji Yuxing was astonished. He seemed to be filled with jealousy. Back then, I asked you for a bottle of Yin Yang Nirvana pill and was willing to pay a huge price for it. However, you weren't willing to trade. Now that you've met a junior, you're willing to take out such a precious bottle of pills. Is the difference between two people so huge? He thumped his chest, filled with jealousy. This is how it should be. Sage Fengdu has such talent and potential, so he's worthy of a bottle of Yin Yang Nirvana pill. If Sage Fengdu can break through again and become an ancient saint or even an invincible saint, it will be a huge help to our human race. Why would I, Gu Rulai, be stingy with a bottle of Yin Yang Nirvana pill? Gu Rulai smiled slightly. Yin Yang Nirvana pill? What kind of pill is this? Xia Ping asked curiously. This isn't an incredible pill, it's a pill unique to Sage Gu. Don't be fooled by his young age. He's a famous pill refinement grandmaster among the human race. His name shook the entire universe and countless saints had sought him out to refine pills. Ji Yuxing explained, and this bottle of Yin Yang Nirvana pill was refined by Sage Gu using his unique methods. He used water of extreme Yin and fire of extreme Yang, as well as 108 types of saint medicine. If this pill is consumed, the soul will enter a state of death and death, where Yin and Yang revolve. In such a state, comprehending the origin laws of the universe would be at least 10,000 times faster. If some saints who are at a bottleneck were to consume this pill, they would probably enter a state of enlightenment and comprehend the vast origin laws of the universe, improving by leaps and bounds. From this, you can imagine how precious this pill is. God knows how many saints want to get their hands on this bottle, but it's a pity that Sage Gu isn't willing to sell it, meaning that it's not for sale. He explained the value of this bottle of pills and how extraordinary it was. This pill is too precious, I really can't afford it. Hearing these words, Xia Ping immediately decided to decline. He always felt that there wouldn't be a free lunch in the world, so it was strange that Sage Gu was willing to give him such a precious pill. Of course, more importantly, he was very rich and didn't lack such pills. I, Gu Rulai, have never intended to take back what I've given away. Gu Rulai waved his hand, indicating that this was a gift that he had given away and he had no intention of taking it back. However, Xia Ping continued to decline, expressing that he didn't deserve it. When Ji Yuxing saw this, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He really wanted to take the pill away on Xia Ping's behalf, but if this bastard didn't want it, he could accept it reluctantly. Chapter 2655. After persisting for a few minutes, Xia Ping still couldn't refuse. Under the persuasion of the Ji Yu saint, he could only reluctantly accept the bottle of elixirs. However, he also made up his mind that unless it was necessary, he wouldn't touch the bottle of elixirs. Well, in that case, I still have something to do, so I won't disturb you for now. I live in a manor in the north of Xianhuang City. If you need anything, feel free to look for me there. Gu Rulai was very satisfied when he saw Xia Ping accept his gift. However, he still had many things to do, so he couldn't stay here for too long. After saying that, he ordered the nine-headed dragon to leave. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the nine-headed flood dragon pulled Gu Rulai and disappeared from the place. I didn't expect Gu Rulai to be such a warm-hearted person. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Indeed, this old man has never seen such a person. He's a genius that only appears once in countless eras, and his cultivation speed is extremely fast, second only to that peerless monster Xia Ping, but he doesn't have any arrogance. Instead, he's incomparably humble, low-key, and likes to make friends everywhere. He has friends everywhere in Xianhuang City. The Ji Yu saint sighed. Moreover, after he refines the Yin Yang Nirvana pill, he never sells it. Instead, he gives it to peerless geniuses that he thinks highly of, and many of them have received his grace. In fact, his reputation isn't just limited to the human race. He seems to have quite a good relationship with all the major races in the universe, and even the saints of the major races. He simply has friends all over the world. He was very impressed by Gu Rulai. He had only lived for 180 million years, and his talent was monstrous, but he knew how to conduct himself like an old fox. Basically, Gu Rulai couldn't find many enemies in the human race, no, even in the universe. After all, who would want to be enemies with a powerful saint who often gave them treasures? Wasn't that stupid? From the sounds of it, This person is really incredible. Xiaoping nodded. Just by listening to such rumors, he was simply a perfect genius, with no weaknesses to be found. However, his life wasn't so smooth at the beginning. The Jiyu saint changed the topic. "Oh, what exactly is going on?" Xiaoping asked curiously. In the beginning, he was just an extremely ordinary clan member in Xianhuang City. He was no different from the others, but a long time ago, a supreme saint artifact, the Fortune of Heavens, suddenly appeared near Xianhuang City. Ji Yu said solemnly, "The myriad heavens fortune diagram is a peerless sacred artifact left behind by the creation saint of the primordial era. Its power is unparalleled, and even an invincible saint would find it difficult to break through. Only mortals can enter." Thus, in order to obtain the good fortune saint's lucky chances, the countless mortals of mysterious Yellow City had all entered the heavens fortune diagram, crazily scrambling for lucky chances. Amongst them was Ancient Rulai. And this matter had given rise to Ancient Rulai. He had obtained a huge fortuitous encounter in this matter. It was unknown what treasure he had found, but he had actually awakened the great desolate war physique and even given birth to Buddha's eyes of wisdom. It was also because of this that his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, and his combat strength was extraordinary, far surpassing those of the same level as him. He could even challenge those of a higher level, and his comprehension of the origin laws of the universe was also extremely fast. Thus, in a short 180 million years, Ancient Rulai was able to make breakthroughs without any bottleneck. Now, he has risen to the peak of the primordial saint realm. He spoke of Ancient Rulai's experiences, indicating that his experiences were also extraordinary. Heaven's fortune diagram? Xiaoping's eyes shined. He clearly remembered this peerless sacred artifact as well as the ancient plans that spanned through trillions of eras contained within the Heaven's Fortune diagram. This was a plan that the creation saint had devised across countless dimensions of time. He had tampered with the pills within the Heaven's Fortune diagram, and his goal was to allow him to one day be reborn and return. And this Ancient Rulai's experiences, as well as his cheat-like cultivation speed, made it hard not to suspect that there was some connection between Ancient Rulai and the creation saint. Could it be that there is a problem with this bottle of yin-yang extinguishing pills? Is this bastard trying to trick me? Or is this Ancient Rulai the reincarnation of the creation saint? Or is he just a chess piece of the creation saint? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He was very suspicious of this Ancient Rulai's goal, but now wasn't the time to think about these questions. After all, Jiyu was right beside him. But if this Ancient Rulai wanted to trick him, then this person's intentions were truly deserving of death. What's wrong? Do you think there's a problem with Fengdu Sage? Jiyu seemed to sense the change in Xiaoping's mood and couldn't help but ask. No, there's nothing wrong with me. I just feel that life is truly unpredictable. I didn't think that the ancient sage was once immortal, Xiaoping said. There's nothing strange about that. The universe is far too vast and there are countless fortuitous encounters. In fact, we human ancestors, no, even ordinary sages, have all come this far because they have had some fortuitous encounters. If we didn't have a shroud of destiny, it would be impossible for us to ascend to the sage realm and obtain eternal life. Jiyu said. What Jiyu said is correct. Xiaoping nodded, not refuting. All right, I won't talk about these gossips with you. If you want to understand the ancient sage, it's the same to go somewhere else. His deeds are already widely known. Jiyu looked at Xiaoping and said, You probably came to the black-yellow continent to find a chance to break through. The black-yellow continent has no lack of universe mystic realms. Each mystic realm is extremely dangerous, but there are also many treasures. There are even some treasures that invincible sages covet. Once they appear, it will definitely cause a bloodbath. But such treasures aren't easy to obtain, and the risks you have to bear are also great. If you aren't careful, even invincible sages might die in a mystic realm. You've just arrived, so you shouldn't be in a hurry to explore other universe mystic realms. Instead, you should stay in the black-yellow continent for the time being and find a place to settle down. It won't be too late to set off after learning about all the mystic realms. Thank you for the reminder, Jiyu. Xia Ping nodded. Putting aside the possibility of Gu Rulai harboring evil intentions or plotting something, the Jiyu saint was indeed sincere in helping him. Alright, if you need anything in the future, feel free to look for me. I live in a manor in the south of the Black-Yellow City. If you come knocking, I'll definitely welcome you with open arms. Jiyu Saint stroked his beard and smiled. Yes. Xia Ping nodded. He even added the Universe Virtual Network's contact information to the Jiyu Saint. This would make it easier for them to contact each other in the future. God Tier Great Demon, God Tier Great Demon. Chapter 2656. One day later, Xia Ping finally found a manor in the Xianwang city. He bought it right away and treated it as his permanent residence in the Xianwang city. After all, if it was a rented house, there wouldn't be enough security and privacy. Such a manor, especially in the Xianwang city, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, was naturally extremely expensive. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to afford it and could only lament their inadequacies. Even a sage would feel the pinch. However, to the rich and overbearing Xia Ping, it was naturally nothing. He bought it easily. At the same time, he also modified the manor and set up restriction formations one after another. It was like a fortress, so no one could easily break through the defense of the manor. After decorating his house in the Xianwang city, Xia Ping temporarily heaved a sigh of relief. He finally had his own residence in this place, so he could settle down for the time being. System, check this yin-yang nirvana elixir and see if there's any problem with it. After everything was done, Xia Ping also remembered the elixir that Gu Rulai had given him. He had always been wary of this elixir and had never trusted it. He didn't even put the elixir in the Book of Mountains and Seas. Instead, he chose to put it in an ordinary storage space. Beep. In an instant, the system's voice rang out, "Warning, warning, this elixir is extremely dangerous. Contains yin-yang nirvana qi and endless creation qi. On the surface, there doesn't seem to be any problem and it even has great benefits for the human body. However, in reality, this elixir has an extremely serious side effect. It contains a mysterious and powerful talisman, the creation soul-controlling talisman, which contains the markings of the laws of the gods. It can silently corrode a person's soul. If the medicinal power seeps into every corner of a person's body, it will probably be controlled by the owner of this elixir. This is like a goo worm that can seep into the soul and take root." "What?" Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He clenched his fists tightly and a murderous aura surged out of his body. Although he knew that there was something fishy about this elixir, he didn't expect it to be so malicious and malicious. If he were to consume this pill, his life and death would be under the control of Gu Rulai. It would be like his soul had been planted in a goo worm, unable to escape and could only become the other party's slave. On top of that, if one thought about it carefully, Gu Rulai's benevolent personality was also a pretense. His goal was to create a good image for himself and make friends with the geniuses of the various races. After such a long time, Qin Mu had no idea how many yin-yang nirvana pills Gu Rulai had given out, how many saints he had controlled, and how many powers he had in the dark. System, the soul of a sage is incomparably powerful. Could it be that this yin-yang nirvana pill can also be silently controlled without any detection? Xia Ping asked. Yes, the soul of a saint can't detect it. Only an invincible saint might be able to detect something fishy. But a saint under the invincible realm can't do anything about it. The system said, this technique is probably inherited from some powerful god, which is why it can refine such divine talismans. Even the saints can't detect it. Furthermore, this kind of control is also silent and imperceptible. Even the person being controlled doesn't know about it. Unknowingly, the person being controlled will have an extremely good impression of Gu Rulai. If the favorable impression reached a certain level, they would probably be willing to go through fire and water for Gu Rulai and listen to all his orders. However, those who were controlled would only think that they were willing to do it and that they were doing it for the sake of their friend. The other sages won't have any doubts and will only think that the relationship between the two of them is indeed friendly. There's such a thing? A glimmer of light appeared in Xiaoping's eyes. He had underestimated Gu Rulai's methods. Just by being able to refine such divine talismans and hide them in the pills, he could control an unknown number of sages. If countless years had passed, wouldn't the number of sages controlled by Gu Rulai be uncountable? This kind of method was even scarier than Saint Blood Soul and couldn't be compared at all. After all, this kind of method was silent and couldn't be detected by any sages. It was too secretive and wasn't as violent as ordinary methods, which could be seen with a glance. This kind of method was more similar to the relationship between believers and God. Those fanatical believers were called fanatics and would do anything for the gods willingly. Maybe this wasn't called control but brainwashing. There was no doubt that this kind of method was many times more terrifying than control. Of course, the price to refine such a divine talisman wouldn't be small. Therefore, after so many years, the number of yin-yang nirvana pills that Gu Rulai could refine was few and far between. Thus, he had to carefully select his people every time. If they weren't exceptional geniuses, they wouldn't enter his eyes. In fact, controlling an exceptional genius was many times better than controlling thousands of mediocre geniuses. That Gu Rulai, no, it should be saint of creation. What kind of inheritance did that fellow obtain? To actually have such a method? Could it be that he also obtained the legacy of a god? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. To be honest, after he obtained the inheritance of the true devil god, he knew how powerful and unreasonable gods were. They existed within the laws, yet they surpassed them and changed them. Sages simply couldn't contend with them. If one could obtain the inheritance of a god, they would ascend to the heavens in a single step. But if this saint of creation had really obtained the inheritance of a god in the immemorial era, then everything could be explained. After all, this method of resurrection was something that ordinary sages wouldn't even dare to think about, much less grasp it. This kind of plan that could be said to have a slim chance of survival spanned countless years. If he didn't have a huge trump card, how could he do such a thing? Wasn't he afraid that after such a long time, some accident might occur? Therefore, the saint of creation must have a huge trump card. Even if his plan failed, he wouldn't die and would still be reborn somewhere. This fellow is too dangerous. If there's a chance, I have to get rid of him as soon as possible. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He didn't have a good impression of this fellow who tried to control the life and death of others, especially when this fellow wanted to plot against him. This made him even more furious. If there was a chance, he absolutely wouldn't mind killing this saint of creation so that he wouldn't be eyeing him covetously. Moreover, this method was strange and difficult to deal with. Even if this method couldn't deal with him, if it was used against his parents or his loved ones, then what would happen? He had no choice but to face this threat head-on. This pill seems to be hiding a wisp of Gu Rulai's soul and aura. If I destroy it, it will definitely arouse the vigilance of that old fox. I can't easily destroy it. I have to leave it for the time being. Xiaoping originally wanted to crush this yin-yang nirvana pill, but after thinking that he couldn't alert the enemy, he gave up on this action. Chapter 2657. At this moment, in another place in Xianwang City, it was the manor where Gu Rulai was. He was currently in a meditation room, sitting cross-legged and cultivating in seclusion. The space-time in all directions seemed to be warping, forming a whirlpool that produced a huge amount of the origin energy of the universe. At the end of countless space-time, there seemed to be mysterious void passageways that connected to Gu Rulai's body. It was as if he was the master of all worlds and was receiving the gifts from the boundless space-time. It was as if the power of all worlds was imbued on his body, and his magic power was unfathomable. Whoosh! Gu Rulai opened his eyes, and it seemed like he had ended his cultivation this time. All space-time returned to normal, and the originally vast space-time whirlpool had also vanished completely. Sure enough, this devil seed technique in the Tao heart is boundlessly profound. It uses all living beings as food and the furnace of a myriad of techniques to nourish itself. This is a supreme technique that points directly towards the grand Tao and the path to becoming a god. Gu Rulai's eyes revealed a glimmer of brilliance, and his pupils transformed into black whirlpools that seemed to contain the aura of a devil among devils. They were like black holes that swallowed everything. If some people who were familiar with him saw this scene, they would definitely tremble in fear. It was as if he had become a different person, a devil of all worlds. If an ordinary person were to look at it, they would completely fall into darkness. However, his body didn't possess a devil nature, and at the same time, he possessed a Buddha heart. It was as if the power of Buddha and devil were intertwining and fusing together in his body. This gave birth to a kind of demonic and unfathomable power that was like primal chaos that couldn't be grasped. Interesting. So much time has passed, but that Saint Fengdu still hasn't consumed the yin-yang extinguishing pill. Could he have discovered something fishy? Gu Rulai's eyes revealed a hint of coldness, and his killing intent soared into the sky. If his secret was discovered by Fengdu, then this Saint Fengdu had to die. The secret on his body couldn't be leaked out. It was because he used all living beings as cauldrons and food. Such methods were simply the devil among devils, and no race could tolerate an existence like him. Before he advanced to the realm of gods and became invincible in the world, his secret definitely couldn't be leaked out. Otherwise, there would be no place for him, Gu Rulai, in the entire universe. No, my demonic seed is incomparably profound. It is hidden within the divine symbol and fused with the source laws. It contains the power to deceive the heavens, so it is impossible for a trifling ancient saint to discover it. Very soon, Gu Rulai overturned his previous conclusion. He was incomparably confident in his supreme technique, and it was definitely not something a mere ancient saint could sense. In fact, even a saint who had reached the invincible realm would not be able to discover such a secret, let alone an ancient saint. That was why he dared to do such a thing so openly. The great ancestor of the human clan had tested the yin-yang nirvana pill countless times, but he still could not discover its secrets. This was enough to prove the power of his secret method. It was impossible for other sages to detect it so easily. Since it's impossible to find out, why did that kid take it? That's right, could it be that he felt that it was a waste to take this pill now, and wanted to wait until he was at a bottleneck before taking it? It's not impossible. Gu Rulai thought of another possibility. The reason why Saint Fengdu didn't take it now was that he wanted to take it at a critical moment so that it would have the greatest effect. In fact, this kind of thing had happened before. According to the idea of maximizing the effect of the elixir, this method was the correct way to maximize the effect. It seems like I have to keep an eye on Fengdu, although Gu Rulai thought that Fengdu couldn't detect the effect of the yin-yang nirvana pill he made. He still couldn't relax before taking it. Only after that kid took it would he feel completely at ease. In this way, no matter what tricks that kid had, he couldn't escape from his palm. On the other hand, in the human clan's holy land, Dark North Saint, Xiaoyao Ancestral Master, Empyrean Ancestral Master, and other invincible saints gathered together. They held a secret meeting to discuss the major events that would decide the future of the human clan. What's wrong, Dark North? Xiaoyao Ancestral Master noticed Dark North Saint's expression. That kid Xia Ping seems to have arrived at the Black-Yellow continent at this time. Dark North Saint received the news. In fact, all the Invincible Saints knew that Xia Ping changed his name to Feng Du as Xia Ping's master. Dark North Saint was no exception. Therefore, when Xia Ping arrived at the Black-Yellow Continent, his registration information would be transmitted to the human clan's database. As an Invincible Saint, Dark North Saint naturally received the news and knew Xia Ping's whereabouts immediately. Black-Yellow Continent? Hearing this, Xiaoyao Ancestral Master frowned. That place is very dangerous and isn't a place for saints near the ancient times. What is he doing there? Does he want to enter some universe secret realm? But with his strength and talent, he doesn't need to go to such a dangerous place in such a hurry. What a troublemaker! Hurry up and ask him to come back. He was a bit angry and felt that Xia Ping didn't know the dangers of the universe. The Black-Yellow Continent was one of the most dangerous places in the universe, and it was full of universe secret realms that could kill Invincible Saints. In order to conquer this continent, the human clan had sacrificed countless saints, so he knew very well how dangerous this continent was. If a saint near the ancient times came to the Black-Yellow Continent, he wouldn't be looking for treasures but seeking death. No, he's no longer a saint near the ancient times. It seems that he has ascended to the ancient times. Dark North Saint's expression was odd, and his mouth corners twitched. Ancient times? So what if he's an ancient time? Hearing this, Xiaoyao Ancestral Master was about to yell at him, but soon, he froze and gaped. Wait, what? You said it again? That bastard kid has ascended to the ancient times? Are you kidding me? He was stupefied, completely stupefied. Ancient times? Not only Xiaoyao Ancestral Master, but the other patriarchs were also dumbfounded and couldn't believe their ears. After all, not long ago, this kid was only an immortal saint. They were astonished that he had ascended to the ancient times and comprehended the law of space at such a fast speed. However, this kid had ascended to the ancient times and comprehended the law of creation in such a short time. Are you kidding me? Even if he cultivated in a spaceship, he couldn't advance so fast. Even though these invincible saints were experienced and knowledgeable, they had never seen a saint cultivate so fast as if there were no bottlenecks in his cultivation. It was really frightening. The human patriarchs were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to say and couldn't comment. Chapter 26:58. Yes, that's what the information said. It said that this kid ascended to the ancient saint realm and changed his name to Fengdu Saint. North Sea Saint's mouth twitched and he looked speechless. In terms of shock, no one was more shocked than him, because he had watched Xia Ping grow up step by step from when he was weak to where he was today. Of course, he knew that Xia Ping had endless potential and would definitely reach the ultimate realm of cultivation in the future. The problem was that he didn't expect it to be so fast. It had only been such a long time, and he had already ascended from the immortal realm to the ancient realm. Even driving a spaceship couldn't be so crazy, right? To be honest, he was a rare genius in countless eras of the human clan. He was known as the genius of the human clan who ascended to the invincible realm the fastest and had countless adventures. He thought that he was almost the son of destiny. But now, compared to his disciple, he seemed so lame. He was depressed to the extreme and didn't know what to say. Is it true? It has only been such a long time, and he has already comprehended the law of creation and ascended to the ancient realm. What kind of adventures did he go through? The Xiaoyao Ancestral Master was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it was true because it was too scary. How could he have imagined that a kid could improve so quickly? Let me check out whether or not this lad has truly leveled up to immemorial ancient state. Show me the surveillance footage of him entering the Xianwang land. Using his authority as the old master of the human race, Old Master Kong pulled out the surveillance footage. Instantly, the scene of Xia Ping appearing in the Black-Yellow Continent was shown to the human ancestral masters. Interesting. Indeed. He has indeed ascended to the ancient realm. Empyrean Ancestral Master squinted his eyes and said, "His body seems to be filled with many mysterious cosmic laws. There are traces of the law of time and space flowing rapidly, and there are many karma lines entangling him. It seems like his experience is very unusual, and the place he entered is also unimaginable for ordinary sages." His eyes were spinning like chaos, and he seemed to be able to see things that ordinary sages couldn't. It was a pair of eyes of time and space that had the ability to see through the secrets of all things. However, he found that he couldn't see through the secrets on Xia Ping. It was as if there were countless laws entangling him like a world barrier, and many laws couldn't invade him. Unimaginable place? What is it? Xiaoyao Ancestral Master asked. "I'm not sure. I just saw the aura of disaster, destruction, chaos, souls, abyss, and demon," Empyrean Ancestral Master said in a deep voice, indicating that he only knew a few clues. Even though it was just a few simple words, all the human ancestors shivered. Every word contained an inexhaustible aura of fate, enough to make people tremble in fear. All things related to gods were unusual and beyond the imagination of sages. What? It Ping is ancient, divine by Ping divine gods. Did he obtain the inheritance of a deity? A human ancestor speculated. "I'm not sure, but it's enough to prove that the fortuitous encounter he had wasn't simple. Looks like it won't be long before another invincible saint appears in our human clan." Excited, Xiaoyao Ancestral Master stroked his white beard. For him, the more top experts the human clan had, the more benefits it would bring to the entire human clan. Indeed, this is a good thing. If he can get the divine god's inheritance, it'll be incredible. No wonder he improved so fast. But it's good that he improved so fast. The war between all realms and abyss demons is getting closer. The more powerful he is, the more likely he won't die. We must keep this a secret. We can't let the top races such as the Demon Clan, Insect Clan, and Elemental Clan know about him. Otherwise, the ancestral masters of these top races will go crazy. The human ancestral masters talked among themselves and set the tone for this conversation. "Dark North, it seems you're good at teaching disciples. It's only been a long time, but you've already taught a disciple who has reached the level of an ancient saint. When are you going to teach more disciples so that we humans can have more geniuses?" Empyrean Ancestral Master said with a smile. "Go away." Dark North Saint's mouth twitched. He didn't even know how his disciple had grown so fast. This kid improved so fast purely because of his disciple's ability. All Dark North Saint did was to let sheep roam the land without doing anything. If he had to take more disciples, he didn't know how to teach them. A few days later, through the information collected by Corinne and the news from the Universe Virtual Network, Xia Ping slowly began to understand some things about the Black-Yellow Continent. The Black-Yellow Continent is boundless. So far, I don't know how big it is. Its diameter is at least hundreds of billions of light years. It's vast and boundless. Corinne said, its cultivation environment naturally goes without saying. It's called a holy land for cultivation. It's full of black-yellow qi. Ordinary cultivators who cultivate in this place will get twice the result with half the effort. Even sages will benefit greatly from cultivating here. It has also become one of the holy lands for cultivation of the human race. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that the Black-Yellow Continent is too far away from the human race headquarters, the journey is difficult, and there are many difficulties and obstacles on the way. I don't know how many humans would have migrated to the Black-Yellow Continent. I know this, but I want to know what secret the Black-Yellow Continent has that attracted so many ancient saints, and even invincible saints to come to this place. Xia Ping asked. It's very simple. It's because the Black-Yellow Continent is rich in universe secret realms. Corinne said in a deep voice, On the black-yellow continent, every huge mountain range may give birth to a universe-secret realm. Some universe-secret realms are formed naturally by the heaven and earth, but some universe-secret realms are man-made. They may be formed after the fall of invincible saints, and some tyrannical universe-secret realms may even be formed after the fall of God. And in these secret realms, many universe treasures are born. These are treasures that can't be found in the outside world. They are simply priceless. Among these treasures, some were extremely rare sacred medicines with astonishing medicinal effects. Some were some unique cosmic ores that were specially used to refine natal magic treasures. There were even some that were naturally formed in the universe and contained the fundamental laws of the universe. It was impossible to name them, but they were connate secret treasures that had great effects. It's also because of the appearance of these treasures that the sages of countless races flock here. Not only the sages of the human race, but even the sages of other peak races hope to enter these secret realms to explore. It revealed the contents of the information it had found these days. Chapter 26:59. But don't look at how many treasures are born in these secret realms. These secret realms are also extremely dangerous and contain countless terrible disasters. Even if a saint enters, he may not be able to survive. Corinne continued, even some secret realms are too dangerous. Once invincible saints have fallen in them. Therefore, countless saints of various races are terrified of them. They are classified as forbidden secret realms. These secret realms are scattered all over the black-yellow continent like stars. The degree of danger varies. The easier ones can even be entered by mortals, and the more dangerous ones can even kill invincible saints. But among these extremely dangerous secret realms, all saints and all races recognize it as the most dangerous secret realm. That is the Inferno Secret Realm. Inferno Secret Realm? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. This is a powerful secret realm formed naturally by the origin of the universe. It is also the first secret realm that the black-yellow continent was born in. It seems to be the battlefield of the Archean era. It may be traced back to an even more ancient era. Corinne said in a deep voice, this secret realm is filled with lava and hot power. The flowing rivers are all flaming rivers and terrifying heavenly flames are everywhere. These heavenly flames are extremely powerful. Once touched by them, even a saint cannot extinguish them. There were once saints who entered in groups. Unexpectedly, a volcano erupted and instantly drowned these saints, turning them into ashes. They didn't even have the slightest chance to struggle. Their souls were destroyed. Speaking up to here, he paused and continued, moreover, this secret realm is not a dead world. It also gives birth to many powerful flaming lifeforms. You can imagine how powerful the monsters that can be born in such a cruel and harsh environment are. These monsters are at least immortal saints when they are born. What? Hearing this, Xia Ping was shocked. Even Gaia, which is blessed by the origin of the universe and is known as the strongest race in the universe, is not an immortal saint when they are born. They still need to cultivate for many years. But the monsters in this Inferno secret realm are immortal when they are born. Yes, although there are few monsters here, they are immortal when they are born. Corinne said, you can imagine how terrifying this Inferno secret realm is. It is said that there are some monsters who have reached the invincible realm, just like the invincible realm saints of the human clan. On the surface, there are only 9 invincible realm saints, and the same is true for other peak races. But in the Inferno secret land, it is said that there are hundreds of strong auras that can rival invincible realm saints. Hundreds of them? After witnessing the power of the infernal realm, Xia Ping no longer felt anything special about the appearance of hundreds of invincible sages. However, this was the modern universe. The current top clans, such as the human clan, only had 9 invincible sages. However, such a secret plane world could give birth to hundreds of invincible sages. It was unbelievable. Of course, the reason why there were so few invincible sages in the human clan also had a lot to do with time. This universe was still too young. It was still in its infancy. Compared to the infernal realm, which had developed for who knew how many years, its foundation was naturally lacking. If one had to compare, then one was 3 years old, and the other was 300 million years old. How could this be compared? Fortunately, this Inferno secret land has extremely powerful laws. Those tyrannical monsters can't run out of the Inferno secret land. Otherwise, I don't know how many lives would have died. Corinne sighed. If he hadn't come to the black-yellow continent, he wouldn't have known that there were so many monsters with terrifying strength in the universe. Although the human clan, the demon clan, the elemental clan, and other races were known as the top clans, in fact, there were still some forces that could compare to these top clans. Not to mention others, just those divine beast clans alone, their foundation was many times stronger than the human clan and other top clans. It was just that they hadn't shown it yet. However, this is only the strongest and most dangerous secret plane world. In addition, there are some less dangerous secret plane worlds. At least the invincible sages can still come back alive. Corinne continued, just like the sound stone you used to forge your natal magic weapon, it came from the famous sound mountain of the universe in the black-yellow continent. The degree of danger in this secret plane can also be ranked in the top 10 in the black-yellow continent. He looked at Xia Ping. Ranked in the top 10? If that's the case, then how did you get these sound stone? Xia Ping asked. Those sound stone were found in the secret plane world on the periphery of the sound mountain. They were just some random scraps of materials. They can't be considered as the sound stone materials produced in the core. Corinne said, in fact, so far, no sages, including invincible realm sages, have been able to enter the depths of the sound mountain to explore. It is said that there was once an invincible sage who tried to go deep into the sound mountain to investigate. He didn't expect that just as he reached the inner area of the sound mountain, he would immediately be killed by a demonic sound from inside, almost shattering his soul. If it wasn't for that invincible sage having a little escape method, I'm afraid he would have died in the sound mountain and would never have been able to escape. He said that after this incident, countless sages called the sound mountain a forbidden place. If it wasn't necessary, don't go in and seek death. In fact, apart from the sound stone that contained the strange power of sound, this sound mountain was a completely barren mountain. No other treasures appeared. This made countless sages lose interest in the sound pattern mountain. After all, this kind of sound stone could at most be used to refine magic treasures. However, not every sage wanted to use sound stone to refine magic treasures. This also caused the sound stone's attractiveness to be greatly reduced. Of course, even so, the value of sound stone was unquestionable. It had become a strategic resource of the human race and wouldn't be sold easily. Only the human race could trade with it. I see. Xia Ping touched his chin. To be honest, he was very interested in this sound mountain. This was because if he wanted to upgrade his life treasure, the Bell of Chaos, to a peerless sage artifact, he would need a large number of sound stone. No, it should be higher quality sound stone. The problem was that such sound stone couldn't be traded even within the human race. After all, not many sages could enter the depths of the sound mountain and take out these high-quality sound stone. Moreover, he was also very interested in this universe secret plane. He didn't know what kind of secret was hidden in this place and why it had such a mysterious and powerful power. He felt that if he was successful in his exploration, he would definitely obtain great benefit. Chapter 2660. While Xia Ping was studying the information of the black-yellow continent's secret realms, Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, Xiao Jin, and the rest of the children were teleported to a human star region by the Green Bull. They flew all the way to the most prosperous commercial planet in this star region, the Martial Song planet. A group of people strolled excitedly on this prosperous commercial street, especially Destiny Dragon Betty and the other young dragons. They had never seen a place where humans and other major races gathered. After all, they were born in a place where dragons did not exist. Hence, coming here was like coming to a different world. Wow, is this the human world? It's unbelievable. Destiny Dragon Betty was very excited. She looked around like Granny Lou entering a grand view garden. The Marshall Song planet was very prosperous. People came and went. Countless spaceships entered and exited this planet. Life forms from various major races in the universe were doing business on this commercial planet. It could be said that although humans were the majority, at least a third of them were from other races. It was simply a gathering of hundreds of races. It was very busy and luxurious. It could be said that it was a place where money gathered. Skyscrapers stood in great numbers. It was full of technology. Boss, I heard that humans are a very terrifying species. They eat anything, including dragons. If they know who we are, will they eat us as well? Dreamy Cloud Dragon Tadish had a look of fear on her face. She kept hiding behind Betty. Hearing this, Memory Dragon Mabel and the other young dragons could not help but nod. They had heard many legends about humans in the dragon world. Those adult dragons often threatened them. They said that if they did not sleep, the humans would rush in at night and eat them all. They were very cruel and evil creatures. Don't be afraid. They are just weak humans. If they want to come, I will eat them in one bite. Destiny Dragon Betty bared her white teeth to show that she was very cruel. As expected of Boss. You are so powerful. You even dare to eat humans. Dreamy Cloud Dragon Tadish and the other young dragons were very impressed. Hee hee, a bunch of country bumpkins. Have you not even seen humans before? Chong Xiaoqian crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at Fate Dragon Betty and the other young dragons with disdain. She had a sense of superiority in her heart. She had brought these country bumpkins out to see the world. Thinking of this, she asked Tan Menglu, Big Sister Menglu, when are we going to beat up that netizen? I can't wait to show off my dignity as the Black Hole Worm King. She clenched her fists, indicating that she had warmed up and was just waiting for the right time to strike. Don't be anxious. It's only a matter of time before we beat up those leeches of society, scum of society, single otakus, and those who live off their parents. Tan Menglu skillfully listed the netizens' names. But now that we have the opportunity to come to this planet, of course we have to have a feast. Only when we are full will we have the strength to beat people up. She put on a righteous expression. Really? Chong Xiaoqian looked at Tan Menglu suspiciously. She realized that this big sister was drooling. She didn't have the image of a Taotai at all. No matter how she looked at it, it seemed like she had forgotten about beating people up. Of course. Aren't you hungry after walking for so long? Even if you're not hungry, don't you want to enjoy the delicacies here? Tan Menglu felt that she had been bored out of her mind these days. It was a rare opportunity to leave the classic of mountains and seas world and come to other places. How could she not eat her fill before leaving? Yes, that makes sense. Destiny Dragon Betty and the other young dragons could not help but nod. Although these humans were very evil, their culinary skills were not bad. After all, they were a race that ate everything. They had already studied the cooking methods of various major races and ingredients. Right, let's go to that restaurant to eat. As a Taotai, my intuition tells me that the best food on the entire planet must come from that restaurant. Tan Menglu pointed at the most majestic and luxurious restaurant on the street. It seemed to be completely forged from glass and was dazzling. One could tell at a glance that it was a high-class place. It could be said that this was the most luxurious restaurant on the entire street. It seemed to be called Celestial World. At the restaurant's entrance, luxurious cars would enter and leave from time to time. All kinds of people in luxurious clothes would also appear here. It could be said that those who could enter this restaurant were either rich or of high status. After saying that, she ran over like a wisp of smoke. Destiny Dragon Betty and the other young dragons also chased after her. However, without a doubt, they were all stopped by the waiter at the entrance. "Why won't you let us in to eat?" Tanminglu looked at the waiter with an unfriendly expression. "I'm sorry. Our restaurant, Celestial World, is the most high-class restaurant on the Martial Song planet. It's expensive, so I'm afraid it's not suitable for you. If you'd like to eat, I suggest you go to the fast food restaurant across the street, Mackenzie. The food there is great and you can eat your fill." The waiter smiled and showed a very kind attitude. However, from the vague disdain in his eyes, it was obvious that he did not think that Tanminglu and the other children had the spending power. He thought that these little brats were here to cause trouble. What do you mean by that? Are you looking down on us? You think we can't afford the food here, right? How dare you speak to this king like this? Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian was immediately enraged. She was the Black Hole Worm King, and also the future greatest emperor in the universe. A small restaurant actually dared to stop her from eating. This was too impudent. It should be the other party's honor that she came to eat at this restaurant. Yet, not only did he not immediately welcome them, he even dared to stop them from eating. What a scandal! This! The waiter was instantly put in a difficult position. He did not know what to say. What's going on? Why are you arguing in such a high-class restaurant? What's the scandal? What if you startle the customers? If other customers hear such a ruckus, they might think that this is some kind of place. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a big belly walked out of the restaurant. He seemed to have heard the commotion outside and walked out of the restaurant. "Manager Liu, you came at the right time. These children want to enter the restaurant to eat. I'm trying to dissuade them, but they're still stubborn." The waiter immediately reported the situation. I roughly understand the situation." With just a few words, the middle-aged man, Manager Liu, roughly understood the situation. He revealed a professional smile. "I'm sorry, little kids. Our restaurant is a membership-only restaurant. We never accept other kinds of customers. If you want to eat, I'm afraid you'll have to go somewhere else. Of course, if you still want to cause trouble, I'm afraid we'll have to call the police. Although you're still young, I'm afraid your parents will come. You don't want to get into trouble, right?" Chapter 2661. What do you mean? Are you threatening this king with these words? Who else in this world is bigger than me? You want the police to arrest me? Don't you know that the police station belongs to my family? Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian immediately flipped out. Manager Liu was stunned. He had never seen such a hot-tempered little girl. However, looking at this little girl's temperament, wearing a crown on her head, and ordering people around, it seemed that she really had the temperament of an emperor. However, the restaurant's rules put him in a dilemma. Walala, at this moment, Xiao Jin, who was standing next to him, waved her hand. Suddenly, dozens of gems fell from her body and clanked on the ground. Immediately, these gems bloomed with dazzling light, blinding the eyes of countless people. Even the passers-by on the street couldn't help but look over, because the light of these gems was too dazzling, too frightening. Each of them was like a star, shining with dazzling light. Even the surrounding people couldn't help but notice it. "I want to eat. Is this enough?" Xiao Jin was expressionless. She pointed at the pile of gems on the ground. "Oh my God, this is Auslikin!" The waiter pointed at a fist-sized gold nugget and trembled all over. Legend has it that a piece of Auslikin is a super metal refined from millions of tons of gold. It is extremely precious, and can be used as a material to refine the core components of the Universe War Fortress. Just 1 gram is worth 10 million universe dollars. Such a large piece of Auslikin is worth billions of universe dollars. He said that he had only seen the real Auslikin from pictures on the internet, but he had never seen it in real life. Not to mention this fist-sized Auslikin, it was simply terrifying. "Damn, this Auslikin is nothing." A passerby at the side was dumbfounded. He pointed at one of the pieces of metal, and his entire body trembled. "Do you see that fist-sized piece of silver? That is phoenix blood silver. Legend has it that this metal has been contaminated with a trace of phoenix blood. It is said that even sages have used this phoenix blood silver to refine St. Tools. This is a material that belongs to St. Tools." "What?" The surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air as their bodies trembled. Materials to refine St. Tools? Just hearing this name was very frightening. Its origin was beyond their imagination. As mortals, they had never seen materials that could be used to refine sacred tools, not even in their dreams. Manager Lu's body was already trembling like a sieve. Although he had worked in this restaurant for decades and had seen countless high officials and nobles, he had never seen such a scene before. However, he had never seen such a precious treasure. Just this piece of phoenix blood silver was enough to buy tens of thousands of shops in Tavern Heaven on Earth, or even more. By now, how could he not know that he had met an unimaginably big shot this time? The value of the things he casually took out was so frightening. Heavens, it's not just the phoenix blood silver and aura skin. There's also the 9 heavens meteoric iron, the earth crystal, the 10,000-year black crystal, and the jade falling stone. These are all top-notch cosmic materials that even sages would drool over. How much is this worth? How much is it worth? What a joke, it can't be measured with money, because this is a treasure that can't be bought with money. If you have to calculate it, it's at least worth 1,000 Marshall Song stars, and you still have to ask if the other party is willing to trade. The passers-by around were discussing and amazed. They had seen people flaunt their wealth, but they had never seen people flaunt their wealth like this. Who had seen the wealth of thousands of planets placed in front of them. And, what? Not enough? Is this enough? With a clatter, Xiao Jin waved his hand and took out a pile of cosmic ores. He poured them on the ground as if they were free, and they were piled up into a small mountain that was half the height of a person. She blinked her eyes and looked at Manager Lu in front of her. Enough. Take it back. Grandaunt, you can take back your magical power. Manager Lu was scared to the point of peeing. He was sweating profusely. Just the pile of cosmic ores just now had scared him so much that he didn't dare to say anything. That was a wealth that could buy thousands of Marshall Song stars. Even the big boss behind Tavern Heaven on Earth didn't dare to act rashly. Now that he took out a pile of cosmic ores, wouldn't he be scared to death? He was just a small restaurant manager, not a big shot. How could he withstand such a shock? If such ores were taken out, any one of them would be enough to hire a killer to kill his entire family dozens of times. This was the power of wealth, the real power of money. Moreover, he also saw the excited and greedy eyes of the passers-by. It seemed that they couldn't wait to rush up and snatch it. If these precious ores were stolen here, how could he, Manager Lu, bear the consequences? Even if he sold himself, sold Tavern Heaven on Earth, he still wouldn't be able to compensate for such a loss. Really? Didn't you say that this place is a membership system and we can't go in to eat? At this moment, Chong Xiaoqian stood up arrogantly and looked at Manager Lu with a look of disdain. What a bumpkin who had never seen the world. He was scared to this extent just because of some money. If these guys knew that Xiao Jin was her finance minister, wouldn't they be even more scared to move? Thinking of this, she felt even more comfortable. If you can go in, of course you can go in. With your status, it's a matter of course for you to get a membership card of this restaurant. It's also my honor to be able to invite you into this restaurant. Manager Lu didn't dare to say no. If his boss knew that he refused to eat with such a top boss and even offended the other party, he would probably tear him apart. Even if his boss killed him 8 to 10 times, it wouldn't be enough to appease his hatred. An existence that could take out such a treasure was not someone he could afford to offend. The waiter was also scared half to death. His face was pale and he couldn't say anything. He felt as if he was sitting on a bed of needles. Hee, it's good that you can go in to eat. If we don't teach you a lesson, you won't know how powerful we are. Chong Xiaoqian put her hands on her hips. Distinguished guests, please come in, please come in. We already have a VIP box waiting for you. Manager Lu said hurriedly. He didn't dare to let these distinguished guests stay at the entrance because there were more and more people watching. If this continued, he didn't know how much trouble it would cause. Okay, let's go in quickly. I'm starving, Tan Minglu said impatiently. With a wave of his hand, Xiao Jin collected all the precious ores on the ground. When the people on the street saw this scene, they immediately restrained their gazes. After all, under such an environment, under the watchful eyes of so many people, no one dared to rob. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Soon, Tan Minglu and the other children entered the restaurant of Tavern Heaven on Earth. Chapter 2662. Not long after, Tan Minglu and the others were led by Manager Lu into the most luxurious private room in Heaven on Earth. It was resplendent everywhere, and only the rich and powerful could enter. What dishes do you have here? Tan Minglu asked with familiarity. This is our menu, Manager Lu said like a pug. He wanted to explain in detail, but Tan Minglu waved her hand. Forget it, I'm not interested in listening to you. Give me 100 of each dish on the menu. She held up a finger. What? Manager Lu was dumbfounded. He had never heard of anyone ordering like this. Isn't that a little too much? Fate Dragon Betty was also a little surprised. Oh right, I almost forgot. You guys haven't eaten yet. At this time, Tan Minglu suddenly realized and seemed to remember that she had companions beside her. She said again, Oh right, give each of them one dish according to the menu. Betty, Chong Xiaoqian and the others. This. Manager Lu was stunned and didn't know what to say. What are you still doing here? Hurry up and order the dishes. Are you forcing me to go crazy? Tan Minglu said fiercely and stared at Manager Lu. Yes. I'll go and order now. Hearing this, Manager Lu didn't dare to be stunned anymore. He hurriedly nodded and obeyed the other party's orders. Everyone, don't be so polite. Just treat it like your own home. Eat and drink as you please, Tan Minglu said casually. Fate Dragon Betty looked at Tan Minglu with disdain. You make it sound better than singing. It's not like you're treating. On the other side, the news of Little Gold taking out a large amount of precious universe-grade ores spread quickly. Many forces on Martial Song Planet knew clearly. They also knew that a fierce dragon had come to Martial Song Planet. After all, she could easily take out such a treasure. One could only imagine how terrifying this little girl's background was. Did you hear? A group of children appeared in Heaven on Earth. They can easily take out Ola's, Phoenix Blood Silver, and other precious universe-grade ores. Of course, I heard about it. I was there at the time. Just the ores that little girl took out were enough to buy over 1,000 Martial Song stars. It was too scary. Where did these kids come from? How could they have such amazing treasures? Do you even need to ask? They must be the direct descendants of some ancient family, or even the descendants of a sage family. Otherwise, how could they be so rich and overbearing? It seems that we need to remind our descendants not to offend these little ancestors. Otherwise, we don't know what kind of big shots we might provoke. Those big shots are not people our Martial Song star can afford to offend. The upper echelons of many forces were in heated discussion. Wealth represented power and influence. A person who could take out so many treasures must have an unimaginable force behind him and an unimaginable power. Some factions wanted to befriend Xiao Jin and the others, but others wanted to take advantage of them. After all, money was very tempting, and Xiao Jin and the others were just a group of children, which immediately aroused their greed. However, these forces were basically not human forces, but forces of other races. Most of the forces that wanted to befriend Xiao Jin and the others were human. After all, this was the territory of the human race. If they offended the sage of the human race, where could they run to? However, the forces of other races were different. They came to Marshal Song's star to do business. If the business did not go well, they would have left long ago. Therefore, their roots were not in the human race's star field. They could evacuate at any time, so naturally, they did not need to be too afraid of the human race's sage. Did you hear? Today, a group of kids near Heaven on Earth actually took out a large number of universe ores. Each piece is priceless, and some are even materials for refining sacred tools. How could we not hear such important news? We already knew about it. Just the amount of universe ores that she took out is priceless. It is said that there are many more that the little girl did not take out. With so many treasures, I think even the sage would covet them. Which family's direct descendant is this rich? Such precious treasures are actually carried by a group of children. Aren't they afraid of being robbed? I guess that group of children has an amazing background. They have long been used to being domineering. Or maybe they are well protected by their families and have no idea of being robbed. The experts of some forces were discussing among themselves, and their eyes were filled with greed. Interesting. If this is the case, why don't we do it? If we can take all the treasures from that group of children, then we will be completely rich. We won't have to work for the rest of our lives. A glimmer of light flashed in someone's eyes. Obviously, he wanted to rob them. Isn't that right? We don't need much. Even one of the ores is enough for us to spend countless years. Moreover, that little girl has so many ores, it is enough for us to share. The problem is that the force behind that little girl is not simple. If we take action, I'm afraid there will be no place for us in the human territory. We will definitely be hunted down. Stupid to the extreme. Can it be that we can only survive in the human territory? After obtaining so many treasures, we would have long fled to other territories, such as the star territory ruled by the demon race, the star territory ruled by the elemental race, and so on. We are not humans at all, so there is no need to hang ourselves on this tree. That's right. No matter how powerful the force behind that group of little girls is, as long as we do this, we will immediately escape. No matter how angry that super force is, the universe is so vast and boundless. We can hide anywhere we want, and they won't be able to do anything to us. It is not impossible to do this, but those little girls are not to be trifled with. On the surface, they don't have any bodyguards nearby, but I don't believe that such a powerful family doesn't have any protectors. Indeed, once we take action, I'm afraid we will have to face the experts of the super force behind those girls. With our strength alone, we will only be sending ourselves to death. We will all be cannon fodder. Many powerhouses were in a heated discussion. They also wanted to do something, but they also knew that things weren't that simple. No one in this universe was a fool. If those little girls had the backing of a super family, even if they didn't have any bodyguards on the surface, there would definitely be protectors in the dark. After all, any parents would not feel at ease if such young children were to go out. They would definitely set up complete security measures in the surroundings. If they dared to take action, they would definitely suffer a head-on blow. Chapter 2663. Don't worry about that. I've already found a helper. At this moment, a powerful being spoke up. In truth, the moment this matter happened, I immediately reported it to the master of the force behind me. That person is a powerful saint whose strength is unfathomable. It expressed its interest in the little girl's universe-grade ore. Within it were treasures it had been searching for many days for but couldn't find. Its value was simply immeasurable. This lord even said that if necessary, you can directly summon it, and it will personally attack and kill all the treasures in a single strike. What? Many of the foreign race experts were shocked and in disbelief. They had never thought that this matter would actually alarm the saint. It could be said that the level of this matter had completely risen. Even though they knew that the little girl's treasures were priceless and that even the sages would covet them, They didn't expect the sages to be so shameless as to personally make a move to snatch them. "May I know who this lord is?" a foreign race expert asked cautiously. "It's the fierce tiger great sage of our demon clan. It's said that its strength has reached the middle ancient realm and has comprehended the law of space and time. Its combat power is unfathomable. Even among the sages, it's an extremely powerful existence." That expert was filled with admiration and idolization. If the saint of the demon clan were to fight in the human territory, I'm afraid it would violate a great taboo. It might cause a conflict between the human clan and the demon clan. I'm afraid that's not good. A foreign race expert said hesitantly. "That's why we need you guys to make a move. That lord is our final safeguard. If we really can't snatch the treasure, we can only summon that lord." Of course, that lord has already made preparations for this, and has considered the consequences. At most, he will never set foot in the human territory again for the rest of his life. Anyway, as long as we act fast enough, even the human race sages won't be able to react. Then, fierce tiger sage will be able to escape easily. Once we return to the demon race's territory, no matter how angry the human race is, they won't be able to do anything to us. It was full of confidence, indicating that it had already thought of all the plans. I see. Many alien race experts couldn't help but nod and understand the other party's plan. It could be said that the fierce tiger great sage's attack was only the last line of defense, and the main force was still them. However, once the fierce tiger great sage made his move, it would mean that he had shed all pretense of cordiality. "Of course, don't worry, as long as you help the Lord acquire those universe-level ores, the Lord will definitely reward you handsomely. He definitely won't let down everyone's hard work." A cold glint flashed in the eyes of the foreign race expert. "Of course, if you want to take advantage of us, or have other devious ideas, or even want to leak the news of this plan, you will anger a saint. Think about the consequences carefully. It's useless even if you hide to the ends of the universe." The experts of the foreign races were stunned. Obviously, these words were a threat, and they were using both the carrot and the stick. This also meant that they couldn't refuse this plan. "I understand. It is our honor to work for you." This group of foreign race experts was helpless. They had been forced to board a pirate ship. In the blink of an eye, 3 days and 3 nights had passed. Tan Menglu, Chong Xiaoqian, Xiao Jin, and the rest of the children had already stayed in the celestial world for 3 days and 3 nights. They were full of energy and had been eating non-stop. Large amounts of food were being delivered to them like an assembly line. The chefs from the celestial world were practically exhausted to death. Even though they had high cultivation, they couldn't handle 3 days and 3 nights of cooking. Such high-intensity work. They had wanted to protest against such actions. However, once Tan Menglu flew into a rage, they didn't dare to resist. They could only obediently cook for Tan Menglu and the rest of the children. These few days, it could be said that they were completely exhausted. At this moment, around the private room, there was already a small mountain of plates stacked up. The surrounding waiters were simply dumbfounded. Because even after eating so much food, Tan Menglu and the rest of the children's stomachs were still deflated. They didn't feel bloated at all. In reality, this was to be expected. Tan Menglu was a monster. As a Tao Tai, her stomach was a black hole. There was also Fate Dragon Betty, Black Hole Worm Xiao Qian, Golden Slime Xiao Jin, etc. They were all powerful beings. Their appetites were not something that ordinary people could compare to. They could easily eat for 3 days and 3 nights. That was simply too easy. Not bad. The food here is not bad. I just ate a little. Consider it an appetizer, a snack. Tan Menglu said casually. After finishing the last dish, she expressed that it was just a snack. Snack? Hearing this, all the waiters, chefs, and managers in Tavern Heaven on Earth were scared half to death. They were sweating profusely. If these food were just snacks, then what would the main meal be like? It couldn't be a month, right? Even if they were a restaurant, they were also out to do business. The more the customers ate, the better. However, if they continued to cook with such high intensity, it might kill them. Enough, Sister Menglu. Don't tell me you have forgotten why we came to Marshall Song Planet. If we eat and drink here all day, those bastard netizens would have already run away. How can we beat them up? If we don't show up, I'm afraid those netizens will laugh at us to death. Can we still raise our heads in this lifetime? We don't even have a name to back us up. Chong Xiaoqian was already a little impatient. She clenched her fist. Hee, do you think I'm the boss for nothing? Don't think that I've been eating these few days. I haven't delayed my business at all. I've already arranged for those bastards to come to Marshall Song Planet's Central Square for a fight at noon. If they don't come, then they're cowards. Tan Minglu chuckled, indicating that even if she was eating, drinking, and taking a dump, she could still do a second thing at any time. This was all because of training. Oh right, I almost forgot that Sister Menglu has developed a multitasking skill because of playing games. You can watch TV shows, play games, eat, drink, and even copy homework at the same time. Nothing is delayed. At this time, Chong Xiaoqian also remembered the godly skill that Tan Minglu had cultivated. It's good that you know your boss is powerful. Tan Minglu stood with her hands behind her back, looking proud. Sister Menglu, then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry up and move. I can't wait to beat those bastards into pigheads, Chong Xiaoqian shouted. She wanted to show off her majesty as a king. If she didn't show those idiotic netizens how powerful she was, she wouldn't know why flowers were so red. Let's go. Tan Minglu revealed a very ferocious expression. She had already eaten and drunk her fill. It was time to get down to business. Keep the change. Xiao Jin stood up, expressionless. He casually threw out a piece of olaskin. Thank you, boss. The group of Tavern Heaven on Earth staff were grateful. They were all convinced. Chapter 2664. Marshall Song Planet, Central Square. Under Tan Minglu's lead, Chong Xiaoqian, Xiao Jin, and the other children arrived at the Central Square aggressively. This place could be considered the largest square in Marshall Song Planet. There was a huge fountain in the center, and trees were planted everywhere. The trees were lush and lush, just like a park. Many people from Marshall Song Planet would come to this square to stroll around. Big Sister Menglu, will those guys really come? Did they stand us up? Chong Xiaoqian looked around, trying to find those game bullies. However, there were too many people around. No matter how hard she tried, she could not find any opponents. It's best if they stood us up. That way we can laugh at those cowards. Let's see how they're going to survive in the gaming world then. I'm going to ruin the reputation of those B***stards. Tan Minglu put on a confident look, indicating that she had already made preparations. If the group of game bullies dared to come, she would teach them a lesson. She would let them know how powerful she was and how cruel society was. If those guys did not dare to come, she would put this matter up on the internet and let everyone laugh at those cowards. No matter what, she would still win. Indeed. Whether they come or not, we're going to win. Chong Xiaoqian immediately felt that she was in an invincible position, and immediately felt relieved. Hee, you want to ruin our reputation? Dream on. Don't think that you're the only ones who have the guts to meet us offline. If you want to fight, we'll accompany you to the end. Come out, let's see who's afraid of who. At this moment, 4 or 5 Lolas appeared in front of them. They looked to be 7 or 8 years old, and all of them looked like dolls. They were carved from jade and looked very cute. Although they weren't very tall, all of them were wearing big-toed sunglasses. They looked like bosses as they walked over aggressively. The group of Lolas had clearly heard the conversation between Tan Minglu and the others. Hee, wearing sunglasses when you're out for a fight? Are you that shameless? Tan Minglu sneered. Who's wearing sunglasses? What kind of look is that? We have dark circles under our eyes, understand? Hearing this, one of the blonde Lolas exploded in anger. What? Dark circles? Chong Xiaoqian was shocked to hear this, and a solemn expression appeared on her face. As expected, the dark circles under your eyes are so big that they look like sunglasses. This is the result of playing games overnight for at least a month. This kind of willpower and mental strength is not to be underestimated. It looks like you guys are not ordinary people. Not bad. It seems that there are still people here who know what's good for them. They can see that this lady is not ordinary, unlike that flat girl who has no vision. It seems that you are the boss here. The golden-haired lowly was very satisfied with Chong Xiaoqian's eyesight. You also have good eyesight. You can actually see that this king is not ordinary. Chong Xiaoqian immediately revealed a sympathetic expression. She had already kept such a low profile, but he was still able to tell that she was the true monarch. As expected, no matter how she tried to conceal her aura, it was impossible to conceal it. Who's the flat girl? You have such a poisonous mouth. Looks like you're that sharp-tongued woman. Remember, you're not only poor but also ugly. Tan Minglu was going crazy and glared at the blonde lowly. That's right. You can even see through this. If I'm not wrong, then it's the game fanatic. None of your business, eat your rice. The blonde lowly revealed a look of confidence. Hearing this, Tan Minglu was shocked. You actually know my game ID? Where did you find out? She felt that her background had been seen through. Haha, of course, information is the most important thing in the game. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win every battle. Otherwise, why would you dare to come out? Do you think that we agreed to fight you guys casually? Of course we came prepared. A blue-haired lowly beside her was holding a huge book in her hands. She exuded an intellectual aura. That's right, I forgot to introduce myself. My game ID is sadness is not a reason to cry, stupid is. She told him her online username. So it's you, you bastard. How many times have you ambushed me? You kill me every time you revive. This time, I've finally found the real person. Chong Xiaoqian immediately yelled and rubbed her palms together. It seemed like both old and new hatred had been ignited. Stupid, of course we have to kill everyone in a battle. Do you think we'll give you a chance to fight back? Use your walnut-sized brain and think about it. If you can't understand this, then don't play games. Go back and study hard. Classes are the place for you, the blue-haired lowly said disdainfully. What? What a vicious woman. She's telling me to go back and study? Chong Xiaoqian seemed to have suffered a huge blow and was a little autistic. Xiaoqian, don't be scared by her. She's just bluffing. Don't be afraid of her. Tan Minglu encouraged Chong Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian? Is that your name in real life? If I'm not wrong, your ID should be the world is not wrong, not me. The blue-haired lowly looked at Tan Minglu and the others and said, I also know your ID like the back of my hand. They are you know nothing about fate, you can have everything in your dreams. My biggest weakness is my memory, she pointed at the fate dragon Betty, the cloud dream dragon Tadish, the memory dragon Mabel, and the other dragon whelps. She seemed to know Chong Xiaoqian and the other dragon whelps like the back of her hand. Oh, and you. The blue-haired lowly looked at Xiao Jin at the end, and her expression seemed to become very serious. You're our biggest enemy this time. Your ID is being expensive is not your weakness, but your weakness. What? This guy is that despicable, shameless, and despicable tycoon. Being expensive is not your weakness, but your weakness? Hearing this, the golden-haired lowly and the others behind her were shocked. They looked at Xiao Jin in disbelief, as if they were facing a great enemy. It's this bastard who made us suffer the most serious defeat and setback in our gaming career. He made us face the darkest day of our lives and almost made us give up the game and go back to study. The reason why we agreed to fight this time is to settle the score with this shameless tycoon. The golden-haired lowly clenched her teeth. Thinking back to what happened in the game, she still felt that it was a dark day. This tycoon was their strongest, biggest, and worst enemy. On that day, the few of them were in high spirit. They dominated the gaming world and were invincible. With their superb gaming skills and deep understanding of the game, they occupied the top 10 of the gaming power ranking. However, on that day, this shameless tycoon, being expensive, is not your weakness, but your weakness appeared. This bastard descended from the sky on a colorful cloud, wearing the famous 6-god equipment in the gaming world. His attributes were so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. This bastard didn't know anything. He only relied on his good equipment and one slash. In the end, he killed them with one slash and emptied their HP bar. They attacked this tycoon who was standing still and even self-destructed, but this tycoon was completely fine. He only lost a drop of HP. This bastard was innocent and looked at them in confusion. On that day their beliefs collapsed. What positioning, what skills, what knowledge of the game, all turned into nothing. No matter how much training they had, they couldn't stop this tycoon's slash. Chapter 26:65. Later on, they were still unconvinced and challenged Xiao Jin dozens of times. However, they were all insta-killed. No matter how they moved, it was of no use. They couldn't block the strongest godly weapon in the game at all. After being insta-killed again and again, they completely broke down and became disheartened. They decided to give up this game and not play with this tycoon anymore. They were ready to switch to another game. However, they didn't expect that this shameless tycoon was like a nightmare. No matter which game they went to, this shameless tycoon would follow them. Moreover, he reached the top in the shortest time possible. When they were still in the novice village, this bastard obtained all kinds of first place in the game and obtained all kinds of rewards. He simply crushed them. No matter how hard they worked, they couldn't compare to this despicable tycoon. The most hateful thing was that this tycoon had a lot of underlings. A bunch of them came to suck up to him, and they couldn't beat them at all. Therefore, one could imagine their hatred towards Xiao Jin. Even 3 rivers couldn't wash it away. Bastard tycoon, this time we're here to settle the score with you. We'll let you have a taste of the humiliation, hatred, and resentment we've suffered these days. We'll let you know what the wrath of a game god is like. The blonde Loli clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. The other Lolas also widened their eyes and stared at Xiao Jin angrily. Settle the score? Who are you? Xiao Jin blinked his eyes and asked in confusion. Who are we? Hearing this, the blonde Loli, blue-haired Loli, and the others seemed to have suffered a huge blow. They didn't expect this tycoon to completely forget them. This was even more sullen and shameful than defeating them. Stop pretending. We've challenged you so many times and you actually don't remember who we are? Are you kidding me? Hurry up and remember us. The red-haired Loli at the side was angry. I'm sorry. Xiao Jin thought about it seriously. I still don't remember who you are because there are too many people who have challenged me. I really don't have any impression. She answered honestly. She said that she only played games to kill time. Occasionally, she would spend some money to top up her account. Occasionally, she would get first place. In fact, she had no interest in playing games. She was only interested in spending money. What? Hearing such a sincere answer, the blonde Loli and the others became even more furious. They had painstakingly prepared to take revenge today, but now they encountered such a situation. What was the point of their plan? He thought that they were his greatest enemies, but he didn't recognize them. He didn't even remember them. He didn't have any impression of them at all. What kind of joke was this? Good, very good, you tycoon. You are indeed the greatest, strongest, and most evil enemy we have ever met. Just a few words from you actually managed to strike us to such an extent. The blue-haired Loli gritted her teeth. Even though she was the brains of this group of Lolas, she was still dealt a heavy blow. It took a lot of effort for her to recover from such a blow. It seems that I have really done something bad to you. Although I don't know what it is, please accept my apology. This is just a small gift to show my respect. Xiao Jin revealed an apologetic expression. With a wave of her hand, she took out a pile of gems and instantly placed them in front of the blonde lowly and the others. Suddenly, these gems emitted a dazzling light, almost blinding the eyes of the people around them. "These are my gifts for you. Feel free to take them," she said to the blonde lowly and the others. Shameless tycoon. Seeing this scene, the blue-haired lowly was furious. "You actually want to use money to humiliate us? Do you think that we are people who can be easily bought by money? What kind of joke is this? Don't look down on us." She was so angry that her whole body was trembling. "Why, you're right. I won't be corrupted by money. Hurry up and take away your stinking money." The blonde lowly stuttered. Her eyes were wide open. She had never seen so much money in her life. You want to use such a small amount of money to buy us? What do you think our noble souls are? Don't think that you can do whatever you want with money." The red-haired lowly was very stubborn, but her eyes betrayed her. It seemed that even her eyes had turned into the shape of gems. The other lolas were also dumbfounded. It seemed that they were drooling all over the ground. "Is that so? With such a small amount of gems, I am indeed looking down on you. My sincerity is indeed not enough. How about this? Is my sincerity enough?" Xiao Jin waved his hand, and with a clatter, another pile of gems appeared on the ground, blooming with sun-like light. Many people in the square subconsciously looked over and were shocked. "Enough, take back your stinking money." The blue-haired lowly was half dead with anger. She still wanted to say something, but at this time, the blonde lowly next to her rushed up and instantly hugged the pile of gems. Her face gently rubbed on the gems, revealing a satisfied look. What are you doing? You actually show such a shameful look in front of the enemy. What a scandal." Seeing this, the blue-haired lowly was furious. Before she could do anything, her own people actually betrayed her and showed such a useless look. It was too shameful. But she said that she would give these gems to us. Then these gems are ours." The blonde lowly blinked her eyes, but her body did not move. Don't be fooled. This is the scheme of this bastard tycoon. He wants to use money to corrupt our souls and corrupt our noble personality." The blue-haired lowly gritted her teeth. "But we have to pay rent and water next month. Right now, we don't have a single cent in our account." The blonde lowly blinked her eyes. "Yeah, if we don't pay rent, the landlord will kick us out next month. We don't even have money for food. We have to drink water every day to survive. If this continues, we can only starve and sleep under the bridge. Most importantly, we can't even afford the internet fees. We can't go online at all." One lowly after another spoke of their current predicament. The blue-haired lowly was speechless. Her companion's words were like thunder, giving her a huge blow. She was simply speechless. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, enemies appeared in the surroundings. They seemed to be experts from various races, and their strength seemed to have reached the peak of lightning tribulation. They descended from the sky and surrounded them, looking fierce and ferocious, exuding a terrifying murderous aura. When the people in the square saw this, they were so frightened that they quickly fled, not daring to stay where they were. You guys are finally alone. Brats, come and see what the world of adults is like. Hand over all of your treasures." A powerful being of the tiger race snickered, looking at Xiao Jin and the others with a murderous aura. Chapter 2666. It's over. These little girls are done for. Bad guys have their eyes on them. I told you not to show off your wealth. Now they're in trouble. These abominable aliens. How dare they behave atrociously in the human race's territory? Idiots, don't act rashly. Don't you see how strong these aliens are? They even have lightning retribution realm experts. If we act rashly, we'll die in their hands. Yeah, bravery also requires strength. Don't be rash and throw away your life. Many people in the plaza saw this scene as well. They all shook their heads and sighed, thinking that these little girls were done for. They'd already been targeted by the criminals. Even though the Martial Song planet was a relatively safe place, there weren't any peerless treasures there. If there were, even the Martial Song planet's armed forces wouldn't be able to suppress these restless aliens. Clearly, the treasures these little girls had were enough for these aliens to take action. Even if they couldn't enter the human race's territory in the future, they didn't care. Some humans wanted to act bravely, but after seeing the difference in strength, they retreated. After all, they cherished their lives and couldn't afford to die in a place like this. Swoosh, with the appearance of the Tiger Clan's expert, the aliens who wanted to steal the treasures couldn't hold back anymore. One by one, they appeared from all directions. In the end, there were more than 1,000 of them. Each of them had a powerful aura. Many of them were Lightning Retribution Realm experts, but none of them had reached the Immortal Saint level. After all, experts of this level couldn't be easily dispatched in the human race's territory. This was the rule of each race. What are you guys trying to do? The blue-haired Lolita looked at the group of foreign race experts in an unfriendly manner, her eyes filled with ferocity. She was already pissed off by her useless companions. Now she was filled with anger. But now these aliens actually came out to make a ruckus. Wasn't this adding fuel to the fire? Kiki, what are we trying to do? Can't you tell? Hand over the pile of jewelry next to you. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to wish you were dead. One of the Tiger Clan's experts snickered, murderous intent surging. Boss, look at this child's soft skin and tender flesh. He should taste pretty good. Why don't we capture him as well? If we sell him, he will definitely be a high-class slave. That's right. Pack them all up and take them away. Perhaps we can take advantage of the situation and kidnap them for ransom. We'll definitely be able to make a fortune. That's true. Just the children alone have so many treasures. If that's the case, the family behind them must have a lot of wealth. If we don't ruthlessly extort them, how can we be worthy of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Many foreign race experts snickered as greed flashed in their eyes. They stared at the blue-haired Lolita, Chong Xiaoqian, and the others without concealing their intentions. You guys are unlucky today. I'm in a bad mood today. Remember to watch your words in your next life. The blue-haired Loli stared at the group of foreign experts. What? The group of foreign race experts originally wanted to laugh out loud, mocking this Lolita for having wild thoughts. But in the next second, the blue-haired Lolita made her move, punching towards them. Boom! In an instant, the entire Martial Song star seemed to tremble. All the spiritual chi of heaven and earth froze. At this moment, all living beings on the Martial Song star could not move, as if they were being suppressed by an unknown force. Many of the foreign race experts were horrified. They also discovered that they could not move their bodies, as if they were completely restrained by a force. It was impossible for them to even move their eyeballs, let alone speak. Dong! With this punch, the bodies of these malicious foreign race experts were instantly shattered into pieces. In an instant they turned into dust and disappeared just like that. What? When everyone regained their consciousness, they were all dumbfounded. They simply couldn't believe what they had just seen. Who was this blue-haired Lolita? With just a single punch, she turned all the foreign race experts into dregs. Those foreign race experts didn't even have the strength to resist. Moreover, the power of this punch had been exerted to the utmost. The fist energy did not leak out at all. All of it landed on the bodies of these foreign race experts, without harming anything else. The surrounding environment was not damaged at all. One could imagine that this blue-haired Lolita's power was not only terrifying, but she had also used it to the acme of perfection. Every 10 grams of power she unleashed would not be 1 gram more or 1 gram less. Are you kidding me? With just one punch, all these foreign race experts were killed? There were more than 100 Thunder Tribulation experts among them. Almost all of them were at the half-step immortal realm. How could they be turned into dust just like that? Who is this blue-haired Lolita? Do you even need to ask? Only the immortal realm and sage can kill thunder tribulation experts so easily. What? This blue-haired Lolita is a sage? Oh my god, these foreign race experts have kicked an iron board. Everyone was discussing. They could not believe their eyes. Such a young Lolita's strength had reached such a terrifying level. She had at least reached the immortal realm. They were shocked. After all, a high and mighty sage had appeared in front of them just like that. For mortals, sages were like gods. Phew, killing a bunch of trash with my fist. I feel much better now. Sure enough, using fists to reason is the fastest way. The blue-haired Lolita took a deep breath, revealing a refreshed look. It was as if she had drunk a bottle of ice water during the hottest days of the year. Her whole body was so clear. She clenched her fists, causing her bones to make popping sounds. It was as if she had just warmed up, not even taking a breather. Haha, you're done for. If the Elder knows that you broke the seal and used your real power, he will definitely teach you a lesson. The red-haired Lolita laughed loudly, as if she was taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. Shut up. Who do you think caused this? If I'm taken away by the Elder, you guys won't be able to get any benefits. You won't be able to play online games in the future. The blue-haired Lolita fiercely knocked on the red-haired Lolita's head. What? Hearing this, the red-haired Lolita and her group's faces immediately sank. If they were taken away by the Elder, then their happy life of eating and waiting to die would disappear. Kaka, looks like we have to kill everyone who saw us. Wouldn't that keep the secret? The red-haired Lolita said ferociously. Yes, I can swallow them all in one bite. The blonde Lolita bared her teeth. Chapter 2667. What are you swallowing? Are you trying to make things worse? The blue-haired Loli knocked the blonde Loli's head and said angrily. Haha, I didn't expect you to be so strong. You actually managed to get rid of these small fries. Are you interested in becoming my subordinates? I can give you the title of general. Chong Xiaoqian's eyes lit up when she saw the blue-haired Loli's strength. She immediately wanted to recruit her. If she could get so many powerful subordinates, wouldn't she be able to defy the heavens? She might even be able to overthrow the regent's tyranny. What title? This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, how could things have gotten so big? The blonde Loli was furious. What? What are you looking at? You look unhappy. If you have the guts, let's fight. Tanminglu glanced at her. Let's fight. Who's afraid of who? I've wanted to beat you up for a long time. The blonde Loli was furious. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, she teleported. She was as fast as lightning and appeared in front of Tanminglu in an instant. She threw out a punch that seemed to shatter the void. The power of such a punch was in no way inferior to that of the blue-haired Loli. In fact, the blonde Loli's strength was even stronger. However, Tanminglu had already expected this. She extended her palm. Dong! The fist and palm collided, immediately producing a terrifying shockwave. With them as the center, the ground instantly exploded, shattering the ground within a radius of dozens of miles. People in all directions were caught off guard and were sent flying. The surrounding buildings were easily destroyed. Even the famous plaza of the Martial Song planet in the distance was destroyed. The surrounding area was razed to the ground. Not bad. You can actually block my punch. The blonde Loli was a little surprised. She already knew that Tanminglu was not simple. She was constantly emitting powerful, immortal, and devouring auras. However, she did not expect that she could block her punch so easily, and in such a casual manner. Her true form is a Taotai, one of the 10 primordial beasts. It's the most ferocious primordial remnant species. Moreover, her potential and battle prowess seem to far surpass Taotais of the same level. Be careful. The blue-haired Loli's eyes revealed a glimmer of light as a mysterious power circulated in her pupils. It was as if she had seen through Tanminglu's true form. But she was also a little surprised, because generally speaking, a Taotai of this level would be as hungry as a bag of bones. Because a Taotia's daily appetite was too big, they simply couldn't find enough food. At the same time, Taotai was also an ancient vicious beast that did not produce. If it could not find enough food, Taotai would naturally rob the treasures and food of other races. But how could the other races endure this kind of thing? If it was a weak race, they could only endure it. However, the powerful races would definitely not let the Taotai off. They would be hunted down all the way. Therefore, ordinary Taotais were either looking for food or in the process of being chased. They were injured everywhere and their foundations were damaged. A Taotai like Tanmenglu, who ate to the point of being overnourished, was truly unique. In this way, a satiated Taotai would be quite terrifying. Her potential and battle prowess would also far surpass a Taotai of the same level. She might be able to display the most powerful Taotai in history. What are you looking at? You still have the time to talk to others when you're fighting with me? With a swoosh, Tanmenglu's figure flashed, traversing through the void. She punched the golden-haired Loli's face, instantly sending her flying. She skidded across the ground for several hundred kilometers, smashing through buildings along the way. Despicable Taotai, how dare you sneak attack me when I'm unprepared? Die. The golden-haired Loli was furious. Although she had been punched, she was still very lively. She struggled to crawl up from the ground and instantly charged into the air, fighting to the death with Tanmenglu. Bang bang bang! In the blink of an eye, the two of them collided hundreds and thousands of times in midair. Each time they collided, there would be a terrifying explosion. Huge craters were blasted out and countless buildings were destroyed. Even though they had already suppressed their powers, the damage they caused was still astonishing. "Haha, Sister Menglu, let me help you!" Chong Xiaoqian shouted and immediately charged forward. Swoosh! The red-haired Loli immediately rushed out and blocked in front of Chong Xiaoqian. She said calmly, "Your opponent is me. Her true form is the Black Hole Insect King. Legend has it that it's an extinct primordial species. I didn't expect it to appear now. It's said that the black hole insect race is one, and all the power of the black hole insects can be bestowed to the Black Hole Insect King. She alone is equivalent to the power of the entire race. The more black hole insects there are, the more terrifying the Black Hole Insect King will be." The blue-haired Loli narrowed her eyes. It's said that the most ferocious and evil Black Hole Insect King once appeared in the primordial era. The entire black hole insect race produced dozens of black hole insect sages. In the end, the Black Hole Insect King's power was unbridled and invincible. It was equivalent to the combination of dozens of sages. However, it was too arrogant and was destroyed by the abyssal demons. Her potential is also very extraordinary, far surpassing the historical records of black hole insect kings of the same level. It seems that she has been nurtured perfectly. You must be careful and not be careless. She stared at Chong Xiaoqian, seemingly becoming more and more interested. "Haha, that's right, I am the renowned Black Hole Insect King. I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable. Since you know of my existence, hurry up and surrender." Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian was very proud. Not only was she not angry, but she was also a little arrogant. She didn't expect her ancestor to be so awe-inspiring in the history of the universe. She also wanted to surpass her ancestor and become the most ferocious and evil Black Hole Insect King. So what if you're the Black Hole Insect King? You're no match for me. The red-haired Loli rushed forward, and terrifying flames seemed to erupt from her body. She was like a sun releasing boundless light. Bang bang bang! In an instant, Chong Xiaoqian and the red-haired Loli collided with each other, causing terrifying explosions. Large areas of the ground were destroyed, and huge lava craters were blasted everywhere. The degree of destruction the two of them caused was even more than Tanmenglu and the golden-haired Loli. The two of them were simply unbridled. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the next second, the blue-haired Loli, the black-haired Loli, and the green-haired lowly instantly surrounded Xiao Jin. "What are you looking at me for? I'm the messenger of peace." Xiao Jin looked at the group of lowly with an innocent expression. "He, messenger of peace? Who doesn't know that you're the most ferocious and evil existence here? The killing intent, golden heptachi, and sharpness on your body can't be concealed at all." The blue-haired lowly narrowed her eyes. "You're the only one I can't see through, and you're also the most powerful one here. You're worthy of the three of us joining forces to deal with you." Chapter 2668. Boom. The blue-haired lowly, the black-haired lowly, and the green-haired lowly didn't waste any time and instantly attacked Xiao Jin. Their speed was so fast that it was as if they had teleported. Their small fists had the power of a nuclear bomb. The area around them was turned into a vacuum by their punches. The power was more than 10 times stronger than the blue-haired lowly's punch that had instantly killed so many experts from different races. Dong. However, Xiao Jin stood where he was and didn't move at all. He let the three people's fists hit him. All the power exploded in an instant, as if it was going to explode this planet. However, he was still unscathed. Even his skin didn't suffer any damage. He didn't take a step back and easily received all the power. "It hurts." The blue-haired lowly, the black-haired lowly, and the green-haired lowly cried out in pain. The punch was so painful that they cried out. A strong rebounding force was transmitted from Xiao Jin's body and instantly bombarded their bodies. They felt that their fists didn't hit a human body, but an iron wall. Xiao Jin was fine, but they were the ones who were injured. "Damn it! What kind of creature are you? Why are you so hard?" The black-haired lowly cried out. She was in so much pain that tears came out of her eyes. She was the one who had hit Xiao Jin, but she was the one who was injured. This was too unreasonable. "It's not good to fight." With a swoosh, Xiao Jin's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of the blue-haired lowly, the black-haired lowly, and the green-haired lowly. He raised his hand and lightly knocked them. Oh no! The blue-haired lowly and the others were shocked. They realized that Xiao Jin's speed was too fast. Moreover, the rebounding force just now had caused their movements to hesitate for a moment. They couldn't dodge at all. They were caught off guard and were knocked by Xiao Jin's hand. Immediately, their bodies fell from the sky like cannonballs. Dong! In the next second, the three of them smashed into the ground, creating 3 huge craters. The ground around them shook and cracked, extending for hundreds of kilometers. "Damn it!" The blue-haired Lolita, the black-haired Lolita, and the green-haired Lolita were furious. Their skin was very thick, and they climbed out of the deep pit like a carp. Right now they were simply furious. It was clearly 3 against 1, but they were beaten to such a state. It was too embarrassing. Bad children need to be educated. Goldie's body followed them like a shadow. It seemed that she didn't give them a chance to breathe at all. Her hand knife seemed to blend into the void, silent, fast and fierce. Dong dong dong! The blue-haired Lolita, the black-haired Lolita, and the green-haired Lolita suffered dozens of heavy attacks in an instant. It was as if their bodies had been struck by dozens of heavy blows, and they were instantly blasted away. "Damn it! Don't look down on me!" The 3 Lolas were infuriated. The aura on their bodies skyrocketed once again. Their speed was as fast as ghosts. Although they were beaten black and blue, the power that they burst out with was even more powerful. They charged toward Xiao Jin from 3 different directions. Crash, in midair, the 4 figures continued to fight. Every time they collided, a terrible explosion would erupt. The whole planet trembled slightly as if it was about to shatter. Their battlefield almost covered the entire planet. In an instant, they left the big city and came to the desolate virgin forest because they were worried about not hurting the innocent. Even so, the planet was still devastated. There were potholes everywhere, and thousands of kilometers of forests had been destroyed. Not even a blade of grass could be seen. At this time, everyone on the Marshall Song planet was scared half to death. They were dumbfounded as they watched the 7 or 8 gods of destruction fight unscrupulously on the martial song planet. They trembled. Damn it! Where did these little girls come from? How can they be so terrifying? Is there anyone who can control them? If this continues, the martial song planet will be finished. Someone's face turned pale. He felt that the entire martial song planet couldn't withstand the battle of these little girls. Just the aura that permeated from them was enough to crush the entire planet. Any martial artist whose cultivation had reached a certain level would be able to sense the tyrannical power of this aura. They also knew that if it weren't for the little girls still having a bit of rationality and not using their full strength, the martial song planet would have been destroyed by the shockwaves of the battle. No matter what, the martial song planet was just an ordinary planet. How could it withstand the pressure and power of a saint? Who dares to control them? These little girls are at least immortal saints. Even if the entire martial song planet's weapon system attacked together, they wouldn't be able to do anything to them, someone said helplessly. If it was possible, they would have already arrested these kings of destruction. They wouldn't have let them wreak havoc on the martial song planet. The problem was that they couldn't beat them at all. Just the shockwaves of the battle were enough to destroy them countless times over. No one dared to stop them. After all, who dared to stop a saint from fighting? Wasn't that suicidal? Let's inform the saint of the nearby planet. Let him come and stop these little girls. Someone made a suggestion. I've already informed the nearby Liuguang saint, but after he learned of the situation, he said that he has something to do and can't come for now, someone said helplessly. T. He's on the neighboring planet. He's not even in seclusion. Why can't he come? For a saint, this bit of distance is like taking a stroll at home. Although it's not good to say such things to a saint, perhaps Liuguang's saint is afraid. After all, he's just an immortal saint. He doesn't have the confidence to face 8 saints of the same level or even stronger. Everyone discussed with strange expressions. In fact, they understood what Liuguang's saint was thinking. Although he was an immortal saint, his strength far surpassed mortals. If he were to face 8 immortal saints of the same level, he would only be beaten up. Liuguang's saint probably didn't want to get involved in the grudges of so many saints. Therefore, he could only turn a blind eye to it and pretend that nothing had happened. But other than Liuguang's saint, are there no more powerful saints? Someone asked. Of course there are. However, the nearby dozen or so star regions only have immortal saints at most. Even near-ancient saints are rare. If these powerful saints want to rush here, they will need a certain amount of time. They won't be able to arrive in an instant. They will need at least an incense stick's time, someone said. An incense stick's time? Can the martial song planet withstand it? If this continues, we'll be dead in a few minutes. The group of people felt extremely sullen. This was simply an undeserved calamity. Boom. At this moment, the void above the martial song planet split open. A huge demonic tiger walked out from the depths of the black hole. It emitted a terrifying aura. It was as if time and space had frozen in all directions. Chapter 2669. Boom, all life on the entire martial song planet felt suffocated at this moment. Under the envelopment of this terrifying space-time domain, even their thoughts stopped. Even time seemed to slow down, and everything was in a state of stillness. What's going on? Why did another powerful sage appear? And it's even from the beast race. Many Lightning Retribution Realm experts' faces turned green. Originally, encountering 8 sages fighting on the martial song planet was already extremely unlucky. It had been a long time since they last encountered such a thing. But now, another sage of the beast race had appeared, and his strength was even more tyrannical. Most importantly, no matter how they looked at it, this sage of the beast race was not here to act as a mediator, but to cause trouble. They felt their hearts turn cold. The unluckiest thing of their lives had happened today. If they had known this would happen, they would have fled yesterday and left the Marshall Song planet. But now it was too late for them to say anything. They could not escape at all. Xiao Jin, Tan Minglu, Chong Xiaoqian, and the blue-haired Lolita and the golden-haired Lolita, who were originally engaged in an intense battle, all stopped instantly. They felt a great danger. All of them raised their heads to look at the sky above the Marshall Song planet. Immediately, they saw the demon tiger that was unscrupulously emitting the aura of the space-time domain. Their expressions turned solemn. Clearly, this demon tiger's strength was far beyond their imagination. What a bunch of trash! I didn't think I would have to take action for this. This demon tiger looked down from above, his expression very arrogant. Although I wanted to say that just now, seeing you guys, I know that my subordinates didn't die unjustly. They actually didn't have the foresight to provoke an immortal rank expert. But thinking about it, it's normal. Since they dared to carry such precious universe-grade ores, they would not have dared to do such a stupid thing if they did not have a certain level of strength. It looked at Xiao Jin and the others plainly. Clearly, it knew everything that had happened just now. Originally, it wanted to let its subordinates kill these little girls and steal those precious universe-grade ores. That way, it would not violate the treaty between the human race and the beast race and maintain the peace. However, it did not expect its subordinates to be killed in an instant. Its plan was completely ruined. After all, the universe ore on Xiao Jin was a treasure that it urgently needed. It had been searching for a long time, but it hadn't found it. It didn't expect to find it here, and it was so easily obtained. Therefore, no matter what, it would not miss this opportunity, even if it offended the human race. At most, it would never set foot in a territory ruled by the human race. It had made all the mental preparations. Who are you? The blue-haired Lolita felt a great sense of crisis. She knew that the strength of this demon tiger was extraordinary. It had already surpassed the ancient saints and reached the pinnacle of the Middle Ages. It had comprehended the domain of space and time. In fact, this demonic tiger was just one step away from comprehending the laws of creation and ascending to the ancient era. It could be said that this demon tiger was an unprecedentedly strong enemy. I'm Demon Sage Fierce Tiger, a sage from the Middle Ages. Demon Sage Fierce Tiger's voice buzzed. You are also qualified to know my name. It's your bad luck today. You actually have the universe ore that I urgently need, and it's very valuable. Therefore, I can only let you die. It did not talk nonsense at all, because it knew that this was the human race's territory. It was very likely that a powerful sage would come at any time. It had to end the battle quickly and kill all these little girls, then snatch the treasures and leave. Right now, it did not have so much time to talk nonsense with these little girls. It could only kill them. Boom! A huge red tiger claw slammed down. It was as if the entire Marshall Song star was in its claws, and all the laws of space and time were grasped in its hands. At this moment, the space and time within a radius of tens of millions of kilometers stopped. No living creature could move, as if everything had been frozen in this second. In the face of a sage from the Middle Ages, any ordinary person was an ant. Even a sage from the near-ancient era could not be a match for it. It was impossible to resist an existence that had mastered the laws of time. Oh no! The expressions of the blue-haired Lolita and the others changed drastically. Although they were considered powerful, they were at the peak of the immortal realm at most. Perhaps with their powerful talents, they could contend with a sage from the near-ancient era. However, it was absolutely impossible for them to contend with a sage from the Middle Ages who had comprehended the laws of space and time. At this moment, Xiao Jin moved instantly. Her pair of cute eyes instantly became fierce, like a fierce tiger that had just woken up from a deep sleep. The fifth magical ability of the golden slime, unstoppable. This was the vibration law that Little Gold had obtained after fusing with the Mother Earth Stone. It could easily cut through all matter in the world, and nothing could resist its sharpness. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, a black sword radiance erupted from Little Gold's body. It seemed to cut through the space and time, and any laws of the universe that blocked its way were easily cut through. The power of this sword was so strong that it seemed to cut the void in half. Dong! Immediately, the red tiger claw that was charging over was cut in half by the sword. The black sword radiance even slashed towards the fierce tiger demon sage. What? The fierce tiger demon sage was stunned. He subconsciously dodged, and the black sword radiance brushed past him. However, the sharp power that erupted from the surroundings cut a wound on his face, and blood flowed out. So powerful! The blue-haired Lolita and the others were stunned and shocked. How could they not know that Little Gold had not used his full strength just now? He was just playing with them. If he had really used his full strength, just this sword alone would have been enough to cut them in half. Is my finance minister so powerful? Chong Xiaoqian was a little confused. Why did she feel that she, the king, was the weakest in her kingdom? All the ministers were more powerful than her, and they even wanted to usurp the throne. Little devil! At this moment, the fierce tiger demon sage's face was extremely gloomy. He looked at the bloody mark on his face and was immediately shocked and angry. No one could describe his anger at this moment. If he had not dodged in time just now, he would have been seriously injured by this sword. You have infuriated me. You have completely infuriated me, the fierce tiger demon sage. I did underestimate you just now, but from now on, I won't do it again. I'm going to tear you apart and swallow all your flesh and blood. I'll leave you with nothing. Do you understand? The fierce tiger demon sage was furious. A terrifying demonic aura erupted from his body. Dark clouds covered the sky and covered a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. Tens of thousands of planets in the surroundings were trembling, and all the power of the universe's origin was gathered in it. This was the anger of an ancient demon sage. It could simply destroy the world. Chapter 2670. It's over, it's over. We're dead. We're dead for sure. The demon sage of the Middle Ages is angry. This time, all of us will die. We're so unlucky. How did we encounter such a thing? We're all innocent. Many experts on the Martial Song planet felt such an aura, and their faces turned green with fright. Even though they could not sense how powerful the demon sage of the Middle Ages was, they knew one thing. There was no way for them to survive the demon sage of the Middle Ages' anger. Even the aftermath was enough to destroy the Martial Song planet dozens of times. The problem was that even so, they could not escape. They could only close their eyes and wait for death. Go to hell, you brats. Bloodline divine ability. Fierce tiger demonic claw. The fierce tiger demon sage roared angrily. The power on its body swelled again, covering a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. Its aura seemed to be stronger than before, reaching the peak of the Middle Ages. Its body covered the sky and was even bigger than the Martial Song planet. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, its red tiger claw attacked from outer space. The surrounding laws of space and time were distorted, producing a terrifying energy vortex. The center of the tiger claw kept twisting, producing a terrifying vortex force. It seemed that all life and matter would be completely twisted into powder by the power of the vortex. At the same time, the moment it attacked, it also merged with the void, controlling the origin energy of the universe within hundreds of millions of kilometers. All of it gathered together, producing an earth-shattering attack. It was going all out. This was the so-called, a lion will go all out even when hunting a rabbit. Clearly, it wanted to crush Xiao Jin and the others, as well as all the life on this planet. Only by killing all of them could it vent its anger. Otherwise, it would be humiliating for the fierce tiger demon sage. Oh no, I'm afraid I'll have to use my trump card to withstand it. The blue-haired Lolita's eyes were solemn. In the face of such an attack, she could only survive by using the means left behind by the elders. The problem was that once they used it, they would fail the trial mission. They would also be captured by the elders, and they would no longer be able to live such a life of eating and waiting for death. However, in order to save their lives, they had no choice but to use their trump card. They could not be killed here. Divine ability. Heaven crystal body. At this moment, Xiao Jin was neither happy nor sad. Her eyes seemed to be white like a mirror, and her entire body seemed to have turned into a crystal color. This was her 9th divine ability, which allowed her to transform into a heaven crystal body that was indestructible. She would be immune to all physical type attacks once, and there would be an interval of 2 hours. This ability came from the heaven crystal stone. However, she also knew that she could only block it once. If it still didn't work, she could only run. But just at this moment, a figure appeared in the void without a single sound. It was as though he was a god, as though no laws of time and space could affect him at all. He stood in the void, looking at the interior of the martial song star. He seemed to have passed through the layers of obstacles and the endless mist, reaching Little Gold, Tan Minglu, Chong Xiaoqian, and the others. The space-time laws on this person's body distorted. The flow of time was extremely slow. It was as though a year had passed around him, but only a second had passed in the outside world. Demon Sage Blazing Tiger couldn't even sense his appearance. It was as though he was independent of the dimension. Master. At this moment, a green calf appeared nearby without a sound. It was the green calf, and the person who came was Xiaoping. When Chong Xiaoqian and the others were in danger, the green calf naturally sensed the situation. Therefore, he immediately informed Xiaoping, and Xiaoping was directly teleported to this place through the classic of mountains and seas. I knew that these guys are troublesome. They cause trouble for me all day long, Xiaoping said helplessly. He also knew that based on the characters of these troublemakers, if he let them out, they would definitely cause chaos. However, he didn't expect that they would cause trouble so quickly. They actually provoked a demon sage who was at the peak of the Middle Ages. This isn't because they caused trouble. It's purely bad luck that they encountered such an unruly demon sage of the Middle Ages. The green calf rarely defended Chong Xiaoqian and the others. It's indeed unruly. It seems that this demon sage Blazing Tiger is courting death. Xiaoping nodded. However, I can't expose the fact that I appeared in the human territory. Otherwise, I'm afraid that people with ulterior motives will notice something. It's better to end this quickly. Thinking of this, he made his move. He pointed his finger at the void gently, and waves of ripples immediately appeared in the void. Boom! In the blink of an eye, with his body as the center, a huge domain of creation shrouded the area within a radius of hundreds of thousands of light-years. At this moment, the entire space-time seemed to have stopped. What? At this moment, the demon sage Blazing Tiger was immediately dumbfounded. Its originally extremely ferocious expression also stopped. At this moment, it discovered that its huge tiger claws were about to reach the martial song star. It was clearly only a short distance away, but it seemed to be so close yet so far away. No matter how hard it tried, it couldn't get closer. It was as if a terrifying force had enveloped it. Who's there? How dare you hide your head and show your tail here? Get out here immediately! The demon sage Blazing Tiger roared. It was shocked and angry, but it was weak on the inside. This power was clearly above it, which was why it could control it so easily. And the existence that possessed such power was at least an ancient sage. It circulated the magical power in its body, trying to break free from the restraints of the space-time domain. However, no matter how it struggled, it couldn't do anything. It was as weak as an ant. Demon Sage Blazing Tiger, how dare you behave atrociously in the human race? I originally wanted to kill you, but after thinking about it carefully, that would be too easy on you. I'll reduce you to a beast and make you a slave forever. A voice sounded in the void. It was high and mighty, containing infinite power. Who's there? The demon sage Blazing Tiger turned pale with fright. It struggled frantically and sensed danger approaching, but it was too late. A finger stretched out from the void and gently tapped its body. Boom! In the blink of an eye, a tyrannical chi of creation permeated the void. As if it had come to life, it seeped into the demon sage blazing tiger's body and immediately disintegrated the space-time domain on its body. At the same time, the chi of creation covered its entire body, seeping into every corner and controlling every cell. It seemed to have formed a unique and mysterious array. Boom! In the next second, the demon sage blazing tiger's body, which was dozens of times larger than a planet, shrank and compressed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, its body was only about the size of a wild cat. At the same time, all the power in its body was sealed, and it was no different from the power of an ordinary cat. No one could tell that this ordinary cat was once the ferocious, evil, cruel, arrogant, and unruly demon sage blazing tiger, whose strength had reached the peak of the Middle Ancient Realm. Chapter 26:71. No, no, no. You demon, what have you done to me? Hurry up and change me back, change me back. Do you know how terrifying of a figure you have offended? The fierce tiger demon sage was extremely terrified. He realized that he had lost all his power, and his entire body had turned into that of an ordinary cat. He could not exert any power, and in fact, he was no different from an ordinary wild cat. The law of creation is indeed extremely mysterious. It's like the power of a god's law. In the distance, Xia Ping saw this scene and immediately felt extremely emotional. He rarely used the law of creation to modify life, but once he did, he realized that the law of creation and the chi of creation were tyrannical. They had forcefully reduced an arrogant and high and mighty saint from the Middle Ages to a wild cat, causing him to lose all his power. One could imagine how powerful this power of creation was. Of course, not every ancient saint had such power of creation. Ordinary ancient saints could not so easily turn a peak saint from the Middle Ages into a wild cat. This required an extremely large amount of magic power, as well as an extremely deep understanding of the law of creation. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do at all. As expected of Master, you have actually used the law of creation to such a superb level. I reckon that even ancient saints might not have Master's skill in using it and his deep understanding of the law of creation. The green ox was extremely impressed. Back then, his old master, the Mountain River Saint, was also an ancient saint, but he was not as tyrannical as Xia Ping. He was so powerful that he was almost unreasonable. He felt that with his master's current strength, even if he did not use sage and divine artifacts, he would be able to match an ancient saint. Right, it seems that the martial song planet has also been severely damaged by these little guys. It's better to recover. I still have to clean up the mess that they caused. Xia Ping was very helpless. However, they were on his side, so he could only help solve this problem. Thinking of this, he waved his hand, and a treasure immediately appeared on his body, the eternal clock. Time reversal. Xia Ping imbued his magic power into the eternal clock, and suddenly, the eternal clock erupted with a tyrannical power of space-time domain, covering a radius of hundreds of thousands of light-years. At this moment, under the power of the eternal clock, all space-time was in a state of absolute stillness. Reverse this planet to its appearance half a day ago. With a snap, Xia Ping snapped his fingers. Boom! In the next second, the hour hand on the eternal clock ticked, and the space-time in all directions began to move. Time was rewinding, and it was as if all matter was rewinding. The damage caused by Chong Xiaoqian, Xiao Jin, Tan Menglu, and the others had all been restored to their original state. It was as if the planet had never been damaged by anyone. It was as good as new. Of course, the power of spacetime recall could only be used on material objects and not on life. Therefore, the dead could not be resurrected. Amazing! The green ox, who was standing at the side, sighed with emotion. No matter how many times it had seen it, it still felt the greatness of the eternal clock, as expected of a divine artifact that reigned above everything. Such power was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Interesting. Are these little girls Xiao Jin's friends? Xiaoping rubbed his chin, his eyes gleaming. Standing outside the void, he could see the blue-haired Lolita and the others. His infernal golden crow's eye was now extremely powerful. Even if he was tens of thousands of light-years away, he could still see things clearly. There was nothing that could obstruct his vision. Friend? Maybe they can be considered friends. Anyway, it should be a fight that leads to friendship. The green ox smiled. They are also good children. However, their strength is actually comparable to Taotai, Black Hole Worm King, and Golden Slime. It seems that their origins are not ordinary. Of course they're not ordinary. They are Gaia. Xiaoping smiled. His infernal golden crow's eye could see through all disguises. These Gaia's bodies were shrouded in mysterious power of laws, disguising their bloodline and power. This caused the Gaia's power to not be discovered by anyone. However, this power of laws might be able to hide from others, but it could not hide from him. Gaia? Hearing that, the green ox's body could not help but tremble. It was simply unbelievable because Gaia was the strongest race in the universe. However, it was also well known that Gaia's numbers were few. Having lived for so long, the number of Gaia he had seen could be counted on one hand. However, there were actually 5 Gaias appearing at the same time. It was truly unbelievable. Legend has it that there's a mystic realm in the depths of the universe known as Gaia Paradise. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. This mystic realm was created by the powerful Gaia in primordial times. Its purpose was to accommodate the weak Gaias scattered throughout the universe to prevent them from being used by bad people. However, over time, this place became Gaia's paradise, Gaia's kingdom, accommodating countless Gaias. He revealed the information he knew. Ever since he obtained Dumbo, he had subconsciously gathered all kinds of information about Gaia. Master, you mean that this group of little girls is very likely to come from Gaia Paradise? The green ox asked. It's not just possible, it must be so. Xiaoping smiled. Gaia's numbers are extremely small, and they are scattered throughout the universe. How can it be so easy to gather 5 young Gaias? This is only possible if they come from Gaia Paradise. If that's the case, why would they appear in the human world? Don't they always stay in Gaia Paradise, isolated from the world? The green ox asked, puzzled. It's very simple. Even if Gaia has unique talent, they still need to grow. Xiaoping said, it's probably those powerful Gaias in Gaia Paradise. In order to nurture these young Gaias, they let them come to various places to train. He revealed his guess. Yes, Master's guess is indeed very likely. The green ox nodded. Interesting, I didn't expect to find clues to enter Gaia Paradise in this place. What a coincidence. Xiaoping touched his chin. To be honest, he had always been very interested in the legendary Gaia Paradise. Moreover, if Dumbo wanted to grow, he would probably need to enter Gaia Paradise to obtain relevant information. In that case, should we capture them and interrogate them? The green ox suggested. There's no need. Just wait quietly. The connection of karma will never be broken. As long as they return to Gaia Paradise, I will naturally know where Gaia Paradise is. There's no need to interrogate them. Xiaoping smiled. He had the Book of Karma on him, so he could sense the karma of all the people who were connected to him. There was no need to go through the trouble of interrogating them. Yes, that's all for today. I'll return to Xianwang City first. I'll leave the rest to you. Xiaoping took a step forward and instantly merged into the void, disappearing from this place. Yes, what about this demon sage Fierce Tiger? By the way, I'll give it to Chong Xiaoqian as a gift. As a king, she naturally needs a relatively strong guard. The green ox smiled and grabbed with his hand. In an instant, he grabbed the struggling and aggrieved demon sage Fierce Tiger, who had turned into a wild cat, and threw him into planet martial song. Remember the mobile version's website. Chapter 26 75 Time Reversal. Page 1/1. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 26-72. Boom. At this moment, not long after Xia Ping left, the flow of time on the entire martial song planet returned to normal, and the originally still time began to flow again. Although Xia Ping seemed to have fought for a long time, to all the living beings on the martial song planet, this period of time was probably less than a 10,000th of a second. At this moment, the space-time domain that enveloped the martial song planet disappeared, and everyone regained consciousness and could sense what was happening in the outside world. At this moment, everyone was immersed in the fear of being killed by the ancient demon sage. Even Little Gold, Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, the blue-haired Lolita, and the others were solemn. Where's that big cat? Where did it go? Chong Xiaoqian was the first to discover that the fierce tiger demon sage had disappeared. She was extremely curious because no matter how she looked, she could not find any trace of the fierce tiger demon sage. It was as if he had suddenly disappeared. That's right, it's really strange. Just now, it seemed to be shouting at us to kill us, as if it wanted to destroy the entire martial song planet. Why did it suddenly disappear? Tan Minglu also blinked her eyes, feeling very puzzled. There seemed to be a special change in the space-time laws just now. Could it be that a powerful sage made a move just now? It instantly destroyed the fierce tiger demon sage. The blue-haired Lolita's eyes flickered. Although she had sensed something at that moment, it had happened too quickly. Even with her perception, she could not find any trace of Xia Ping. She could only make a secret guess in her heart. Haha, there's no doubt that the big cat is afraid of my prestige. It knows that it will not end well if it offends me, so it ran away with its tail between its legs. Chong Xiaoqian put her hands on her hips and laughed loudly. She had a proud look on her face. She felt that this matter was all thanks to her. Otherwise, why would the fierce and murderous fierce tiger demon sage suddenly run away? The red-haired Lolita, the black-haired Lolita, and the others looked at Chong Xiaoqian in disdain. What kind of king was this? Her skin was several times thicker than the city walls. Wait, what's going on with the surrounding environment? Didn't we completely destroy it just now? How did it suddenly recover? The red-haired Loli quickly realized that something was wrong with her surroundings. Originally, there were potholes everywhere, and there were even thousands of mountains in the distance that had been destroyed by the shockwaves of the battle. But now, all the holes had returned to their original state, and even the mountains were still intact. It was as if nothing had happened. Such a scene was simply unimaginable. That's right. This place should have turned into ruins long ago. Why is it still intact? Could it be that we were dreaming just now? In fact, there was no demon sage fierce tiger at all, and there was no fight? The black-haired Loli was dumbfounded. It can't be a dream. Can't we tell if it's real or fake? How can there be such a realistic dream in the universe? The black-haired Loli shook her head. Without a doubt, there must have been an almighty being who had made a move earlier on. At the very least, he must have reached the immemorial ancient state. No, he might even be stronger than that. He might even have reached the immemorial ancient state. The blue-haired Loli touched her chin. This almighty personally took action and used time reversal to reverse the flow of time on this planet. That's why everything that was destroyed on this planet was restored. It can't be. What kind of almighty was it? Even an elder wouldn't be able to do that. At the very least, it has to be a great elder to be able to do that. Oh my God, did a great elder-level almighty take action just now? Many of the Lolas were astonished. They were just tiny little things and were still in their infancy. Even though they had reached the immortal realm, they were still far away from the near-ancient, middle-ancient, immemorial, and even the immemorial ancient state. Even if they were Gaia, if they wanted to break through, they would need billions of years to break through a realm. If they wanted to reach the immemorial ancient state, the time needed would be astronomical. After all, this was the special characteristic of Gaia. Even though they had endless potential and almost no bottlenecks in breaking through, their cultivation speed was so slow that it made people's hair stand on end. They needed endless accumulation of time before they could fully mature. Luckily, they had endless lifespans, so they didn't care about time the least. Master was here just now. Little Gold blinked his eyes. Yes, he was here, even though it was only for a moment. Tan Menglu nodded. She had signed a contract with Xiaoping, so they had a soul connection. Even if it was just for a moment, she could still sense it. Master? The blue-haired Lolas and the others had sharp ears. When they heard these words, their hearts were stirred up like a raging sea. These two ridiculously strong little girls actually had a master. What kind of person could be their master? Most importantly, there was actually someone who dared to be Taoya's master, and even dared to raise Taotai. Oh my God, who was so rich that he didn't care about money anymore? Or was it some prodigal son of a super family who was afraid that his family had too much money and that he wouldn't be able to squander it all? That was why he did such a suicidal thing. Why did he have to take things so hard? They looked at Tan Menglu in shock. Why do I feel like your eyes are very rude? Tan Menglu's eyes suddenly became ferocious. She was very sensitive to others speaking ill of her or having evil thoughts. She could instantly sense it. No. We didn't think about what kind of despicable method you used to find a sucker to be your master. Could it be that he was threatened by you? Or did you get something on him? That's right. If it's possible, can you teach us this method? We want to learn it too. Ahem, of course, we're not looking for a sucker. We just want to learn it out of curiosity. The blue-haired Lolas and the others said loudly, revealing a look of thirst for knowledge. Get lost. Hearing these words, Tan Menglu said in annoyance. She was the greatest Taotai in the universe. As long as she wanted to, countless people would cry and beg to be her mistress. What kind of despicable methods would they need to use? Of course, there were also many ignorant races and ignorant life forms in this universe. They had great misunderstandings about the Taotai clan, causing the Taotai clan to fall into a predicament. In the face of their pleas to be their mistress, they fled in fear. They often didn't know their next meal. However, in this universe, fortunately, there were still people who knew how powerful Tan Menglu was and the greatness of Taotai. Otherwise, this universe would really be hopeless.